nice and wild right now. And just turn it up. Or this is how high as it goes? Yeah. Hey. Oh. Wait. Damn. Let me close my eyes, turn the headphones on the ride, catch the beat outside, dive in, this ain't my time, I'm back on it for the lines, can't catch it with the weather, ayy, losing my little mind, ayy, stuck inside I'm grinding, ayy, stuck inside I'm gligging, ayy, rap on it for my mic plugged in, you don't wanna see your boy tap in, stuck inside the rhythm, I've been snapped in, losing out my mind, I've been packed in a little ass room, smoking gas like a motherfucking tune, dive over, I don't feel none of you, out of my mind like a fucking Cancun, damn, butterfly Cancun, ayy, in a mile man, ooh, pass to the bro.
Hey, you pass to the bro, so it's Valhalla, yeah, you already know, I come in with it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, my double ass shit, you know it's it, you know it's a hit, pull up on set, you know it's a trip, you know it's lit, you know it's legit, alright, I give you 4 bars, that's
you notice
all,
it,
Valhalla, you know it's all.
Give you 4 bars and I notice it. Add the beat on them cold as shit. Lose my mind, shit, I'm knowing it. I'm touch, rolling it. Gas, slow as shit. Pass, notice, click, math. They don't take. They trying to do the digits. Lose my mind when I'm fluent with it. I ain't playing. Ayy, out of country, new edition. Ayy, ooh, let's code it, man. Do the mission. Ayy, through the Miami, got the gas, new the mission. Black my eyes out, new the Christmas. Exercise out, booze missing. Exercise now, new to miss this. Can't buy now, ooh, the biscuits. Fresh out the oven, niggas is coming, running in something. Out of the drill, I don't even drill. I just rap bars, I just keep humming like Cuddy or something. Got this gas in my lummy or something. I'm gonna rap like a honey or something. Fucking this bitch, she love me or something. I don't know what's up, I'm coming or something. Bummy or something, dummy or something, fucking or something. Find you the gang, I'm coming or something. Running or something, running or something. Woo, this beat is tough.
Hey. I say we killed that one.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, welcome to Vine Tree Radio. It's your boy West here chilling with
Mauriwowi. How's it going?
And you know we got a guest. Introduce yourself.
Yo, Okunamatata, Tobenna, Toby, the Nigerian who be doing stuff.
Hey, there you go. I like those titles. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of names and shit you go by. But thank you for coming through today and chatting with us about shit, pretty much everything under the sun and a lot what has to do with, you know, our brand. That's usually how it goes. We talk about the connection between everybody and how we met, you know, the people we get to talk to about, you know, what they do and what they're passionate about. And you're somebody we've known a lot, you know, known for a long time throughout our lives. And I feel like even for me in creating music and being creative in itself, I feel like you was around a lot of the pivotal parts I spoke about on the show thus far and shit. But something, you know, deeper than that, I feel like we get to focus on within this episode is your route and like how you got to where you were, because I feel like it's a unique route as well, and that's something we really highlight on this show. You know what I'm saying? Like the unique routes people take in their individual, you know what I'm saying, pursuit of like what they want to get off. Because I feel like that's how the Vine Tree works for us, at least. Like everybody who's kind of on that wave really fits in a role somewhat, because it's like, you know, it's like destined in a way. Like I don't know nobody else to the degree I know you that does the shit you do. So I like, you know.
I feel that. Sure. Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here and chop it up. Like seeing you and Mauriwowi, Mauricio progress. Like it's been dope to see. And I'm just happy to like chop it up with y'all. It's been a minute since I've seen y'all in like person too.
Exactly, yeah. It's cool, been a while. I feel like the last time I talked to you, I think I might have said something about this. Like I feel like I was talking about the music and Mauricio, and I think you were about to like go back to like San Diego at the time, and I think I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna start a podcast and this and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you were like, yeah, that'd be dope. Like that'd be sick. 'Cause you had just started like some other projects you're working on the app, I think, at the time.
Yeah. At that time, I was going heavy on my first app, Bibble. So like, we can get more into that, but like, yeah, at that point, my focus was all on that.
But yeah, how'd you get into? So before I guess you get to the part of being doubled down on Bibble, how the fuck you get to even wanting to do computer science as a career? I mean, I know that was something I remember you being into young. Was it a battle or a struggle, I guess, in the sense of wanting that as a career path? Was it something you always felt like this I was made for? Or was it something where it was kind of like, nah, I like it, I'm good at it? Or like, you know, like how was the process getting like, I guess, into that as like your career?
Yeah, like I didn't plan on it being my career. Like I was planning to be a physical therapist, like a sports trainer or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like I got on it on like a creative tip, like it was a video production, and I had to learn stuff for video production. And then I was like, oh, I need a computer that can do this.
God.
And then I was like, damn, computers are expensive. And I was like, all right, how can I build one? So I just got from there, like started building stuff with like our homie Nick, and then from there just like shout out to Nick. Nick's out here training like it's World War III. I don't know if you've seen that, man.
Yeah, bro.
He's out here running with a pit bull and weighted vests.
I feel that though. I'm
in the morning sun.
That's real. But like at that time, you were saying like you doubled down into like what? Just like you said, you got into it for your. I forgot. Were you explaining like yourself?
Yeah, just like for creative stuff. Like I was really into music, so like I had a ton of music. I don't know if you remember at that time. I had a ton of music. Like,
oh yeah, see, I feel like that maybe that started right at that time or right after, because weird enough, that's right when I met you. So I'll give context. Like right when I moved to Santa Clarita was like at the beginning of 9th grade for me, and it was like in high school, and I met Tobenna in basketball season, so I played football right when I came, so I only knew people from football. But then like when winter came, I met Tobenna, and literally around that time a lot of music was coming out and being downloaded. And me, like if anybody's ever seen any other pods or anything about me, like, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't too extra savvy into that part about it, but I knew that was the move already at that point in time. Like if you knew somebody that was, you know what I'm saying, you could get the jams, you know what I mean? And like at the time, I knew that, but like I guess I was I had certain abilities to get certain jams already from apps that had been coming out and shit. And as we talked about in other episodes, like those waves of that. But when I met you and shout out to homie Marcos, I remember that like at that time, like I was like into Our Future and shit, and I remember coming to your pad and Chance, bro. That was the biggest thing ever. Like I remember Chance the Rapper, Acid Rap, being on your laptop and then downloading that shit, like wanting to download that shit on my shit. It was almost on some like, I just knew he did that, but I never really was too into it to be hyped on doing it. But I seen that tape and I seen that I just couldn't get it nowhere else. You know what I mean? Like I seen that it was just like it was a mixtape, you know? And I saw it and I wanted to listen to it, and I remember bumping it on his laptop, like on his computer, but I couldn't have it type shit, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, I gotta like figure it out. But so when did that start for you, I guess is my question. Like was that, cause for me that was 10th grade. That was like, no, that was like late 9th grade. So when did that start for you, around that time or a little earlier, 8th grade?
Nah, bro, like 5th grade. Like,
see, how was that like?
From the moment I touched the computer, I was like, how does this shit work? And how do I get what I want out of this right now? Like, it was all about like, but it was always on like a creative tip. Like, I'm trying to play games or I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to like watch movies. You know, like it was never like I'm trying to make a job out of this. You know? Yeah,
like you had things you wanted to, goals and shit you wanted to do that like had to do with the computer, like wanting to get like certain mixtapes, wanting to do. I feel like, I guess like the part that's interesting to me is, would you say it was certain also like shit you wanted to do as far as like Adobe and creative stuff? Because I remember you being familiar with that.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I don't know if you remember, like I would always be walking around with us in like a tablet or some shit.
Yeah, and, like I feel like that was a big proponent in it, like you with the stylus and shit.
Yeah. I'd be making some terrible art. But that's exactly it, dude. Like I just like I wanted to do something, and like the only way the things I wanted to do happened to be with computers. I remember, bro, like when jailbreaking was like big. Remember that? And like
Mauricio can talk about that, because I mean a lot he's mentioned in other pods, but like as I say, I wasn't the person that was doing that. He often refers to himself as the person that was big on that was like messing his computer up to, not jailbreaking per se, but like, you know, just the downloading shit, like to be able to download shit, like, which is the sense of jailbreaking, you know, illegally, but like the song goes.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, when did you get into jailbreaking, Mauricio?
No, similar time I'd say as you. I was probably like 5th-ish grade.
Yeah.
It started, I feel like, trying to get music, you know what I mean, using LimeWire and like Napster and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
and then eventually it kind of transitioned into a little bit of game hacking for like some small stuff, like I feel like that was more so like when I got into like middle school, of like some like, all right, no, Shadow, we can't do this right now, of like some video, like some light like modifications and stuff like that to kind of like mess around with some games.
Yeah.
But I never feel like I really got into like the full like hacking or like full CS side of it. Like I've always been intrigued by computers a lot throughout like my childhood. Like ever since I was a kid, like I've always, like, even when it came down to playing just like fucking pinball on like, you know, the old classic ass or like, you know, computer that could, like, that's all it could handle.
Hey,
like,
I was nice at that shit.
I mean,
no,
like,
don't play with my name on that. I was crazy at that game.
It was a fun game.
Those were the
bro.
era, man. Paintball, Minesweeper.
Minesweeper, hell yeah.
Minesweeper, bro. Unheard of.
That was like such a crazy. I feel like what muscle did that work in my brain, bro? Like, cause it was a certain one. Cause my mom used to like playing that game, bro. She was the one to put me on that, like, where it was like those little, you had to like get, and something about it, like those squares. You know what I'm saying? That's the one we talking about, right? Where you had to like pick which ones would be the bomb ones and which ones weren't, and it was like everyone had like that shit for something. I don't know what it was. I feel like it made my brain grow, bro. That helped my shit like develop, like.
I was like, that's like straight up deductive reasoning.
Bro. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. Minesweeper is legit.
No, that shit was some real shit, bro. But like back since then, I feel like is when I really started like getting into computers and getting into technology. And like as you said, as you progress, like there's just like I feel like I've found myself in many times where like whether it be just to do something for fun, like play a game or try something out like artistically, or even just like now like on the artistic side of like wanting to do certain endeavors, like you just need computers and technology. So like as at a certain point, like you said, like you to get these things across, like you need the computer. And so like I felt like I've grown with it in that sense, but I've never really given it that full deep dive into learning like the programming side of it and like the full like what you would consider like even like you were saying, like hacking and stuff like that. Like the stuff I was doing, I wasn't really say like I was like really hacking like myself. I was more so like implementing tools that like other people had already like provided and stuff like that, but I was never really into like knowing how to actually script that.
And I guess when did you, that's a question I would have for you, is when did you transition into building like certain your own like infrastructures? Because I remember that was early on as well. Like I remember at that time, I feel like that was very close time. Like maybe like if not close to 5th grade, but close to like high school, like early high school. I remember you starting to do that, or middle school, like late middle school.
Yeah, it began out of like necessity. Like I had like a PS2 at the time, and then I bought a PS3, and then a PS4 had come out, and I was like,
gaming, would you say that maybe turned you to it? I should
exactly.
realize it's usually the thing that gets you into PCs and their capabilities, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, I'm not paying money to Sony again. Like,
I feel that.
I'm gonna make it and own it. Yeah. Exactly. And then like in JUCO, when I was playing ball, I broke my ankle. You know what I mean? I tore everything in my ankle. I was in bed for like months. So then it was just like, to keep myself sane, like I learned how to code. Like I literally was just like in bed, like, you know, like everything I had done to that point was to get a football scholarship. You know what I mean? So then it was like, my leg's broken. It's my last year of JUCO. It's my last chance to get the scholarship. So I might as well just, I need to do something. And like, I don't know if you remember at that point, but like people would come in my house and stuff, and it was just like I was mad, depressed and stuff. You know what I mean? So I just like had to learn something, and that's kind of what like propelled me into like. I
do remember you were like, I do remember you being like really focused on shit, and like in a way that was like kind of like, it wasn't like you were upset, but I feel like you were like upset that you had certain skills and you weren't using them for what you really wanted to use them for.
Bruh, I was pissed off. Yeah, man. Like you spend all that time and you just like basically lose that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like I felt like I lost everything at that point. So I was like, I kind of had to like reinvent myself for like throw my effort to like one basket. You know what I mean?
I feel that. But that was one question I had about that was, would you say maybe like in some sense you took it more serious, or did you take it more serious, the idea of like pursuing like a career in like computer science like post your injury with football, or do you think it was more so something you took serious always? Because you were still going for that major like at the same time before you got injured, right?
No, I wasn't. I was going for physical therapy.
So it was like a switch completely, and even in career at that point in time, like.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and at that point, I got my scholarship or like my offer, whatever you want to call it, from USD, and like I essentially had to make a point. There's a point in time after like a year and a half of playing ball at that school where it was like either you do computer science or you play D1 football. Like there's no in between, and like it got to like a a lifestyle level, but also like a bureaucratic level. Like the system literally couldn't handle a person who played football and computer science.
Like who's doing both? And I feel like who's doing both.
Exactly.
And that's crazy, because that would be like, that should be the type of person that like rocks the system, that like literally like exemplifies it. You know what I'm saying? Like in a way, like usually those are the type of people they like make like a new rule for.
Facts.
And bro, I spoke to chairs, ADs, like deans. Everyone looked at like from the first semester I went to that school. They're like, "You think you're Superman?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, "You got 16 credits and you're playing D1 football. You think you're Superman?" And I'm like, "No, like I need to graduate and not pay money to y'all for 5 years." Yeah. like facts. And then eventually, like, I'm not Superman. I had to leave that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
That's what you're saying, like, and it was like in a way where they're not helping you too in that sense.
Yeah, like,
you know what I'm saying, and that's what you would want. You know, you'd want someone to help work with you if you are gonna be like that. It's like, nah, I'm not Superman, but like, there's ways we could get this done if we try to. If you make it harder, it's probably impossible.
Just exactly, so like the viewers don't get it twisted, like we're talking about how Tobenna went to go play D1 football, like straight out of high school. So like on top
did you go straight out of high school though?
Wasn't it?
Nah, I went D2 out of high school, and then I bounced back. I went to junior college, and then I went to University of San Diego. Yeah.
That was right.
So like a lot of different time had passed before he like decided to pursue football as like a professional more sense, like in the
But even though I'm saying like he was balancing even like within high school and afterwards, like
that's why I was
like
kind of
working on football the whole time while he was doing all this other stuff. Like
that's why I was wondering if you did have your career choice kind of like based on computer science at the time, because you were already kind of into it then. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like before you had switched to it, even in your schooling, you had already been on the computer building shit. So that's why I was wondering if like how that, I guess, mentality switched of it being maybe something you just did for like, you know what I mean? Because it was like cool to you to do.
Yeah.
To like, oh shit, like I should have been using this as my shit the whole time. Like,
no, yeah. I literally realized that like the moment like I realized, all right, no one's helping me out. The system's not working for me. Like, I got to make it happen. I started like hella grinding, and then I just realized like I'm behind. You know what I mean?
Okay. And coding was the first step, you would say, like getting there on your coding, like in that time when you were talking about.
Yeah, 100%. Like I realized like all these kids in these classes like have been doing this for years. You know what I mean? And I've just been like messing with it on like a creative tip, but not trying to like make nothing or. And I was just like, damn, like, I don't know. It was just like real interesting. Like, it made me a question, like, all my choices low key. You know what I mean?
So then you pursued at UCSD, you pursued computer science, or then you went to a different school after you left there for football?
No, yeah, the same school. So like, the University of San Diego is the most traveling football team in the country.
Oh, got you. So you stayed there and still like just switched to focused on one.
Yeah, exactly.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. And that was like a big part of it too, was like you traveling, you got the game on Saturday, right? you leave on Thursday. You find out you're leaving on Thursday morning. Like, because I was a person who was on the bubble. Like, I was like team 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not starting, but I'm worthwhile. You know what I mean?
Like, they might need you.
Yeah, they might need me, but they literally have a limited amount of seats on the plane for the team. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, this running back might go, but you might go. So I'm doing all my tests early in the week. You know, you got a test on Fridays and stuff. I'm doing tests early in the week so I can make the travel team come out and then, like, repeatedly just be like, oh, I didn't make the team, I didn't make the team, I didn't make the team. You know what I mean?
God.
So after, like, a year and a half of that, like my grades are shit because I'm not doing any projects. Like, I'm just trying to, you know, spit them out and play football. You know what I mean? So then at that point, I was just like, I got to really choose what I want to do.
During that time, was there any people you looked up to or examples of like other athletes that kind of like had like succeeded in the same way? Because I feel like I hear about other stories of that sometimes, you know, like a select few of like couple fool athletes that were like, damn, this fool like like he was the smartest fool in his whole college and shit, like, and he was the QB, like.
I mean, I don't say I'm the smartest fool in my whole college. No,
not like that, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a couple people like that like who are really dope at sports that happen to be really like. Was there any people you like kind of looked up to in that time in your field that were like dually, you know what I'm saying, great and shit? Like,
yeah, I think it was Aaron Foster. Aaron Foster, he's a little out there, but I remember he was on his podcast and he was talking about how he was on the sideline during a Cardinals game. You know, he's playing, but he's on the sideline for a second, and he's thinking about astrophysics.
So yeah, I feel like I've heard little glimpses of stuff like that, like, you know.
Yeah, and then he's like, wait, I really want to figure out the answer to the problem he had just like spun up in his head, and like he literally was like, I want to walk up the field right now and go look up the answer to this problem. And at that point, he was like, yeah, I'm done with football.
That's crazy.
Yes. But yeah, people like that. I know there's a lot of other people like that too. But
yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like the dude with the braids from the Cardinals. What was his name? The quarterback. I feel like he was smart. He got injured. The third. He was like somebody the third.
Oh, RJ.
I think he went to somewhere dope too. I forgot.
Mind Tree Radio.
But yeah, so I guess now, I mean, shit, you talked a lot about like, I guess your career and how you decided to get into it, but like, so then getting into it, what struggles did you face and how did it kind of shape you into getting into startups? You know what I'm saying? Like starting your own shit. Because obviously there's the transfer from going into the career of like learning about this field and then being like, all right, like now my company in this, like.
Yeah. Dude, I had really wanted to build something and I got this internship at a nonprofit to build them an app, and I built them the app. It was terrible. I don't think they ever used it because it was my first app ever. But I was like, oh wow, like I can really make something. So then the next year, my school has this competition called the STAR competition for the like engineering entrepreneurship track. So essentially, you make a product, you pitch it, you do like all the steps it takes to start a startup. You know what I mean? Do your market research, a lot of refinement. You know, a potential customer or user interviews, all that stuff. Like, I literally had to learn all that stuff in like a year's time. And then my teacher, he was really into our products. Dr. Pateros, he was really into our product, which was Bibble, which is like a social media app for essentially buying and selling used goods at school while also communicating with everyone on campus at the same time. And he was like, this is a dope idea. You guys are dope. Because me and my whole team were really into it. So he had us go to Evo Nexus, which is a startup incubator. And we literally would pitch every like few weeks at Evo Nexus. So like, and at that place, they're like real deal startups. It's like people doing like genetic, like scientific startups, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to fix real diseases in there, and I'm in there pitching like a social media app. You know what I mean?
Was there other apps in there, or were you the only like? Was it that they dominated, like the real like scientific projects dominated?
It was even like beyond apps. Like the apps were like secondary to them. Like the things that they were working on, the app is just like a thing that helps facilitate.
Oh, okay, so it was more so the pitch, like of what this whole project is.
exactly. Yeah, like what is this thing? How is it helping people? Is it profitable? All that stuff. And yeah, like after pitching to them a bunch, I just like saw like a real like community in the like we have an idea, we think it's an idea, let's go ride that out and see where it takes us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which
I
I
feel
feel
like
like
that's
you
great
guys are on.
experience.
Like
I was just wanted to ask
sorry, what
on.
was that?
I just wanted to ask on like what it was like seeing how you're saying like you see like all these other like major or bigger projects, right? What was it
Yeah,
like?
they're fun. Yeah.
Like seeing like the way the bigger projects were, like did that help you kind of, or did that influence at all any kind of like way you went about infrastructuring like your own projects, or whether it be like the pitch wise or even like foundationally how you built it and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. Like I'd say mostly the business model. Like, you know, as an engineer first, like I'm like, oh, this is a cool idea. How do I build it? Figure out how to build it, or try and build it. You know what I mean? But like having an idea of like what a product is and like having a business model around that is a whole thing. Like being able to know like, will this user come back to it? Like there's this thing that like it blew my mind. They called it the aha moment. Like when you're using an app or something or a service, there's like a moment everyone has that they're like it like satiates whatever they came here for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like I was making apps and I didn't even think about that idea. Like at what point, how many minutes or seconds using my app until the user feels like rewarded or like they have added value to their time using this thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, just like learning that like really it drove my ideas and like what I think is worthwhile building. You know what I mean?
I see some motherfucking shit.
That's some real shit. Like, cause that's you like the retention, like how much you can really like keep people is, I feel like you're saying, like the biggest measure of like what a product is to someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially apps is general because they're like analytic based. So a lot of times like the analytics is like how much time like you're gonna fucking be there. Like, you know, like their numbers based to the extra fact. You know what I mean? Like all they want is the numbers on this. Like, so that's a big part about it. I guess like what you're saying is how long until the person, even deeper on how long you can keep them on it, how long until they feel like it did something for them.
Exactly. And like
that's the shit they look for. Like,
yeah. But like I feel like a lot of companies fall short because they're looking like to get value from the user instead of trying to give them value first. You know what I mean?
Because if you can get that off quick, or just at least the perception of them feeling like they got something from this exchange very quickly, then you're already satisfying them. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a way. You know what I'm saying? Because they're already going to it and being like, damn, like, okay, they already see something in this they want. Like, it's not too much bullshit they have to sift through. A lot of days there's a lot of BS people have to sift through to get to what they actually want to use, you know?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's the same thing like with art or anything. Like, it's all about service. Like, you're not making it to not be used. You know what I mean?
With that in mind, wait, sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
Is the screen recording?
Oh, yeah. But I can't, I'm on, oh, I thought I was on this. Yeah. Oh, no, it's not. We never started the screen recording.
Damn.
Forgot about that.
It's all good, bro. You can chop me in there afterwards.
Mind Tree Radio.
Alright.
You're the first one that it starts after. That's wild. Usually it's like it stops at a certain point.
That's so funny.
sorry about that technical difficulty, guys.
Bro, it's all good. Like, it's all good.
But on that, I wanted to talk about the servicing. So, like, how you're saying, like, it's building for people to use, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about, like, the process of building, like, the user interface? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Can you just break that down? Like, how much detail it goes into, like, really breaking down, like, what people are going to see first and so on and so forth, and how to maneuver shit?
So like I see it from like two different directions, and like in the center is like what the user experience should be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like no one really knows that until people start using it and people give you the feedback like I hate using this, you know what I mean? Or like I love this, I do more of this. So there's like the design side where like you can come in at it from like a user design experience, like how you want them to feel, what are they reading, you know what I mean? And that will kind of like guide the way like your app either handles or your screen looks or even like your button presses happen. Like, is there like a colorful loading like animation, or is it just like a quick and speedy experience that it just like it pops it off immediately? You know what I mean? So once you start like figuring that out from the like design side of things and start moving closer to that point, you can then go to the engineering forward on and start building out what you've already designed and like sculpted out, kind of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's like how it should be done. Now, like in a startup, in an early stage startup, it's usually like the founder is like saying what they think should be there, right? The engineers are like, that's a lot of work. Let's cut that by half, right? And then there's like one creative guy who's like, I want this to be this color. And all of that like ends up being the first product. And then like eventually it works its way to the first way I explained, where like you have a, like you're really speaking to like how should the user feel and like what should they want to do while they're using it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So would you say like how was it building a team for your app?
Dude, my first team, so I picked my co-founder, or we picked each other. She was like a fellow Nigerian. A shout out to, I'm not gonna say her name because she's like a real private person.
That's true.
But she works at like a real big company. She's like, she'll probably like run the world at some point if I'm being honest. Like, just like facts. But like we chose each other, and then from there the rest of the team was random. So it was 5 in total, and like at that point it was cool because we were all learning and we were all seniors in college, like about to graduate. And we're making this product, and we're getting pitches, and we're actually raising money, and at the same time we're applying to jobs. So I felt like we were in like a like a cruise ship, you know what I mean? Like let's all keep each other afloat type stuff, you know what I mean? Because you're doing finals and all that stuff. But then after we all left and graduated, it just became like you really realize like your business partners, the people you build with, you should like get along with them. You know what I mean? It shouldn't just be a bunch of commonalities that like linked y'all up. It should be like you want to be with that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like it's that's something we talk about too. It's like that's a big part about being on the team is like it like you should kind of just a certain part of it has to be natural to fit. You know what I mean? Like you gotta really want to do this. It can't really be like, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So when you say it was random, do you mean like it was like a school project, and so like it just kind of got assigned, or was it more so just like random in the ways that you met them, and then like?
It was random in the way that it was like a school project. Like every computer science major at University of San Diego has to do what's called a capstone. Just like
I had to do a capstone. My capstone was a fucking podcast, bro. Look where we are now.
Oh, fire! Fire. But yeah, like usually it's like companies like Raytheon or some company will be like, we want to have some students build this for us, you know, and it's a good way for them to like find people to hire and like give people a portfolio, and also like it's a way to validate what you learned the whole time. But they had an option to make your own company, and obviously I was like, I'm not going to do free labor. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you're going to do with this code after I'm done writing it, and like it makes you $1 million or $1 billion. Like, no. So, and my co-founder had the same vibe. So we were just like, let's go spend a week and figure out, you know, let's go ideate and come back with something worthwhile, you know?
Yeah, no, I respect that, because it's like, honestly, I feel like I want to know how that goes within your business, because I feel like that's important within all businesses, that like independent spirit in some sense that people have, that like they kind of dwindle between or have to dwindle between, you know, the idea of like, you know, having your own company and then how to like collaborate with other people who are already in the business and like the rights to shit you make? Like, how do you navigate that within this business? Is it like gatekeepers? Is it like people you have to go through? Is it like big ass independent companies that have just like surpassed everybody?
All right, so like I'll speak about like Lazy Fruit. So Lazy Fruit is the second company I started, and it was me and my homie Carlos. We essentially were out of the pandemic and had no jobs, and we're like, all right, we both got skills. Let's make a company. We called it Lazy Fruit, because you know Steve Jobs said he'd rather hire the lazy man than the smart man, because the lazy man smart enough to be lazy. But yeah, basically, yeah. But basically, like after linking up with that for Lazy Fruit, we essentially just like learned how to collaborate and how to be a team. Is that answering your question? I don't know if that answered your question or not.
I mean, kind of. I was kind of just getting at like the idea of like the business, like say like other companies like starting a business and shit like that. Like, is that something that's celebrated within the tech world, like startups and independence, or is it celebrated how you mentioned earlier, like you doing the code and then not knowing where the code is gonna be, like, you know what I'm saying?
Like working
what
for
you're
a
gonna do
company.
with the code, you know?
It's a give and take. You definitely got to be like skeptical when you step into the startup space. You know, whether you're an engineer, you're a creative person, you're a business person, even especially if you're an investor.
Like, does it ever rub people the wrong way that you're going against, that you're like, nah, I'm making my own company with this versus like wanting to be a role within another company?
Nah, never.
Nah, that's just something that's celebrated within it. They're just
Think
like,
about
everybody's...
all the big companies that are out there all started up as startups at some point.
Yeah, no, I get how it
like,
could benefit you, but I'm just kind of wondering if like everybody sees it as that, or is there other people that kind of want you to try to hire you and be like, nah, like I want you to work for this company?
Every day I get hit up like that, but I'm sure every engineer does.
Yeah,
because
I feel like that's why I related to music. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the same way in some sense how somebody could want you to be a part of some shit instead of own some shit, rather than like. But there's some people that'd be like, nah, fuck with that. Like we should all own our own shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I also think it can be a bit of both. You know what I mean? Like the world's moving into like a gig economy, and like I really don't see my skill set being any different than any other. You know. China makes more engineers every year than the U.S. has ever made.
But even within that, though, like as you talk about, I would argue that your skill set is probably gonna have more value than like most other skill sets, especially like in the coming years as like technology grows and continues to keep going. Like it all comes down to people who can code and people who can like maneuver all the back end of stuff. And so like I feel like
I feel that,
even though I feel it is like a saturation of like a lot. There's like other countries and other parts of the world that are like encouraging that. And I feel like that is for sure a thing. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think it's because that skill set is like a valuable skill set.
Yeah, I feel you. But like, I feel like, I don't know. At the same time, like, there are people who have this skill set and go work at like a big a company, and you know, don't enjoy their life and don't enjoy what they're doing. And that's because like they're essentially a modern day, like, you know, coal miner. Like they're cracking away at code. Let's call it coal. They're getting their little value from it to give to the company, and that's all they're doing. It's like perpetual cycle of like mining away at the code. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, I do feel that like you can use this in a way where like you feel empowered, like how y'all are like making podcasts and have a brand and like all that stuff together, and plus coding, I think could really be the value you're talking about, Mauricio. So I definitely see it in two ways. Like people who code are kind of like coal miners, like farmers, like not right now, but I just mean like their function is
their role in the system.
I can see what you're saying with it. I see with it, and I get what you're saying. But that's where I was saying is like the value is it like say in like a world where we transition, say even like say a farmer, right? Yeah. Like you said, a farmer. Say in a post-apocalyptic world, a farmer is gonna fucking pop off, like, because they're going to be the ones that can harvest the food for us afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, like those are skills that like are like kind of like seen as like you're saying, like right now it's like it's the dirty work, it's the laboriousness of like, and it is draining. That I won't argue that, because like I had a lot of friends in like computer science classes that I've and majors and stuff that I've seen, like
definitely that is a part that gets to them in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know it's
that is something I've heard about, like a dreading part within it.
I don't know if that's like a driving, like, inspiring factor.
Dreading. No, I meant like a dreading part within it. Like I'm saying, a part that they don't like.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is a common thread for sure with like a lot of folks in the field. I've heard, because it's very intensive. You know what I mean? You're staring at a screen. It's for long hours. You're looking at code. It's, you know, it gets intense.
Yeah.
And like,
because the idea of it in itself kind of is what has to keep you going, if you will. I would feel like, right, like the idea that like this code is creating this bigger thing, and it's kind of like you have to really stuck to that idea so hard to remain like sane almost.
Bro,
like
you hit it right on the nail, bro. Like I've met so many engineers who are like for real disillusioned. They're like, what's the point of writing all this? Like they're literally like, what's the point of this?
Because I can see how
like,
you could lose your frame of reference, bro, and really just be like, damn, like this is to make this, but you've been doing this so long that you don't even see how this attached to the bigger shit.
Bro, exactly. Like, and that's one thing I appreciate about my current situation is like they like the whole group really tries to like nail it in, like what we do. Like we help people with doing this. Like we even have meetings where we're like, this month we're highlighting these 3 customers, and this is how we help them. It's like really like letting you know, like you are helping people with what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Like attaching to the real life applications of the product, so that way that thread is much closer for you to grab while you're coding and shit. Like,
yeah, no,
to while you're doing it, you know.
Yeah, that's some real stuff.
and it's best attainable, like you said, in building your own endeavor with it, and then using the code to further that endeavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like one thing, like I feel like it's not fair to tell everyone, "Hey, go learn how to code," but I think it's also like people should like.
It's a good thing to
try
know.
to or just like educate yourself into like what's possible. Because once you know what's possible, you can then enable your own thoughts. You know what I mean? Like you can be like, I don't want to do this, but I know what I need now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a big part of most things. I always say it's like literally kind of just like, if you don't like know how to do some shit per se, like knowing the people that do, and then that's like freeing in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of rhymes. I ain't even trying to make that rhyme, but like, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, that's like kind of freeing in a way. You know what I mean? Like when you know the people, like, cause like it just, you don't gotta know how to do everything, cause nobody knows how to do everything. But knowing which things you don't know how to do, and then like someone that does, kind of just, it's like a little extra leg. Like you're like, oop, like, and I feel like kind of one thing, I guess that's one of those extra legs we're gonna really need in fucking the future.
I feel that.
Yeah. Like, that's one of things people need, bro. They need that extra hand of like, you know, of like tech shit, I guess, because it's like, how do you, because it crafts so much of our reality, right? Yeah, I think that's the part. Like, I remember when people were talking about code and why it's like important to know, because it really just crafts so much of our reality that having someone that knows how to do that is having your hand in crafting reality. You know what I'm saying? And we shape reality, bro. Like, so if you lose your grip on that, then you lose your grip to kind of like add to what is really real.
Yeah. So like, I saw this. You saw some real shit right now this whole time, because I saw some stuff that was saying like, code is a contract of reality, right? So like your version of reality, my version of reality, Mauricio's version of reality are different. You know what I mean? But they're similar enough to where we have a point of reference. Like we all believe we're on this podcast. You know what I mean?
I know, I'm like together, you know.
Yeah, but like. We can all think differently at the same time, and then like if we have to code something together, essentially like agreeing on what reality is at that moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Out of curiosity,
that's kind of like,
from your perspective, what's your thoughts on like simulation theory and stuff like that?
I think we're definitely in one.
So you think someone coded this, or you think it was like an accident though?
Oh man,
That's an interesting. I haven't considered that like we're an
it gets
accident.
deep because you know,
It is possible. That
like
is possible.
what is a program? What is a routine? Like a program is literally called a routine. We all have routines. Are we not programmed to do those routines? Did we like? Are some of them pre-programmed, or did we program them into us? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like things happen in an algorithmic and cyclical way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of my professors, he was doing an AI thing. He was a PhD candidate at UCSD, and he was doing an algorithm on the paths ants walk on trees. Because when ants are walking on trees, they can't just turn left; like they're on a branch. So they literally like have figured out how to most efficiently climb trees and get what they want. Like that's an algorithm that ants like know. You know what I mean? Like so like I don't know. I'm not gonna say like we're not like we're in like a CPU in RAM right now, and if they turn off the power, like we're all out. But like a program is a program is a program. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's some crazy shit. And I'm. It's funny they mentioned the ants thing because like when I was, man, I remember this day like very vividly. It was one night when I was in. I was in La Mesa, like late at night, kicking it with the homies, and
Yeah.
I remember we're overlooking we're just sitting there smoking like a blunt and overlooking like the hills, right? And I could see like all the lights from the cars and shit, and like it just looked like ants. Like I don't know, because we were so far away, like and I dead ass like that it started what I considered like my anthill theory of like
I love it. I don't even know what it is. I love it.
But it was just like the theory that we're ants. You know what I mean? That like we're like the way we see the things of like how you're saying like right now, like there's a certain structure and things that like we don't acknowledge, like it's already kind of programmed in, right? And like when you see it from that outside view of like you can see that when certain things happen, everyone kind of reacts in a certain way, right? Like the ants, when you're presented with that variable, they all go in a certain direction.
Yeah.
And like I remember, and like within that, like it just made me start to see. That really made me just kind of start to see like humans in a sense just smaller than like what I used to see them as, like a perspective. Like I really, it was kind of like seeing us. I don't know. It was really like a perspective change, like a huge perspective change, honestly, in my life. And like from that point forward, like it really kind of like made me see, every time like I look at ants, and made me see people, and I really thought of us as a like just part of like this, like we do these things, we just live this life that like we don't know sometimes, like there's no explanation, but it's just like natural instincts, like you're saying, like the ants, like the way they just boom boom boom.
It's like the movie Ant.
Like the movie Ants, man. Like it's crazy. Like it's just like it's just interesting to me that you made that comparison, because like it really rang like true.
It was a great movie,
or like
too.
a very
I used to love
similar
that
to
movie
me.
as a kid, man. It was a great movie.
That was a good ass movie.
Yeah, it was a good ass movie.
But also,
I feel you, bro.
no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Okay.
But I wanted to say, in part of like we're talking about like how coding is reality, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's an amazing transition into kind of like the augmented reality side of things, and I guess virtual reality we can touch on as well, but like how coding is literally making like that next layer of reality.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on that and see what you.
Yeah, so you guys know I do like augmented reality stuff, like make little art pieces, little experience.
How'd you get into that from Bibble? Because I imagine that's not obviously the same shit. Like I don't think that's a part of your app, right?
Nah, it was not. It kind of goes back to the video production thing. Like I always wanted to like make sick ass visuals. You know what I mean? Like something to like really enhance whatever's going on. So I just slowly like I read all these things for engineering just to keep up, and I slowly like realized like Apple made all these tools to make augmented reality, and I was just like, why is no one talking about this? Why? So I just like picked up all the equipment that was like needed to do it. I read a few books on it, and I was just like, all right, let's get cracking. Let's see what we can do. See where we can take this. Like, I know how to program. I know how to architect. A solution. I'm not gonna say I can architect the best solution, but a solution, and all that together. I was like, let me see how I can make something.
What did you need?
worthwhile.
What was the materials that you needed?
First, I needed like a strong ass computer to.
How strong? What are we talking?
How strong are you talking? Not too strong, not like studio level where you're spending $5,000 on a computer, but definitely need to spend above $1,000.
That's how much most like Macs cost and shit, right?
Yeah. Honestly, just get a good Mac, and then like I got an iPad. That's like the big thing is I got an iPad Air, but I really should got a Pro. Like my models are super detailed. I got like, I literally have like trillions.
Yeah, one of them was really nice you got coming. We'll touch on that later. I forgot to bring it up before. The aspect of adding music onto it. Because I know that you talked about doing like a music one next with the Donda one. And that was one I thought looked really like lifelike too. So that's the only reason why I thought of that. But I forgot to bring that up.
Yeah, that one, the one he's talking about is I sculpted... I essentially have this vision for an experience where you get to be at the Donda experience that was in Miami. And essentially, I have to make every piece from scratch. So I made the boot. I showed him the boot when I first had sculpted it. I showed him the pre-res image I was using as reference, and then I showed him the final.
We could also add those in here for people to see. You know what I'm saying? They can see your work, see what you've been working on, bro. I know, like just like art, those are things that you probably put like a lot into, you know what I'm saying? How much time does it take you to make, say, like some of your favorite ones, some of the best ones you made?
The boot is probably the best piece I've made. Like, it just looks real, you know what I mean? Like,
it does look sick. I saw pictures. Okay.
And that boot took me like, let's say 8 hours. It's just like, give or take, not the best. But when you think about like graphics and visual effects, like it takes a movie studio getting paid millions of dollars, like months to do 5 minutes of a scene sometimes. You know what I mean? So like I'm trying to get it to a point where like I can like do real time GFX, and essentially like an entire GFX studio would be a couple people who can make AR. You know what I mean?
Bro, you should be like the first fool to make like some crazy, get the collab with the glasses, bro.
Bro, Apple has a patent, and there's like rumors that's coming out this year, and like that's the whole reason why I pegged on Apple, because there's all these other technology stacks that do AR, and I was just like, who's actually gonna win this race? Like,
you know what I'm saying? And bro, when you get if you get that collab, bro, I'm telling you, like I could see it going off, because I could see the commercials already, like with that planet one you had. I could already see that on like a commercial for it. You know what I mean? Of fools being like, yo, throw this on, galaxies floating across you. I was already doing that in the sesh, like right there. Like, this is hard, bro. Like, I'm like just looking at this like imagine if you just throw them on like vibes, like, yo, put the vibe setting on, like everywhere I go you just see cotton candy, please.
Wait, but so can you...
Oh wait, I think he just said something because he paused it. Somebody's calling him, I think.
Oh, okay.
Mind Tree Radio.
Might be.
It's all good.
But yeah, like, bro, like I'm really like, once I get to the point where I can make these things sustainable and like maintainable, I'm gonna get it to a point where like I get like a real film creator type person like Mauricio, or someone who can like fuck with angles and really like use the tools I made to then like enhance their film. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Bro, this was been talking about that. Like, I feel like he's been always questioning like, how we could do that, like how we could take it to the next level on that tip specifically. Because I feel like it was slowly coming around, like you said, in those past years. But it's like those things are rare, bro. You don't get too many of those things in your lifetime where technology just slowly starts to advance and build and like get created, and then you see it just like now it's a thing.
Yeah, like Hank Sweets, I said it in one of your podcasts, but we really were born at the best time. Like I don't know what like all this tech is going to do to the future of the people, or like where people's minds are going in the future. I'm talking like distant future, but it seems like the near future shit gonna get better.
I do
You know
see.
what I
I
mean?
do see what you're getting at in the sense of the best time, in the sense of like, say all they say we're so infected with the phones and shit like that.
It's gonna be way worse later.
But like, think about how worse it could be. Like, we really are still in the brink of being able to like control some of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, know how some of it is built. Like imagine like when it's just gone. Like, we just gone in it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what is reality no more. Like, we still will know what reality is. Like,
Yeah, we be the old folk be like, "Hey, the sun feels nice today." They be like, "What sun?"
they're like, what sun feels nice today? You mean like the fake digital generated sun?
You mean the purple one I set up as purple 2 minutes ago?
Like I haven't looked at the real sun in ages.
I wanted to
Oh
kind
my
of
God,
ask.
bro.
I wanted to kind of ask you about like you mentioned how Apple is like they put out the patent for the glasses. Like, how does one go about like trying to say collaborate with them, like collaborate with a big tech company as such? Like, do you have can you expound on that a little bit? Like,
Yeah, so like I've definitely collaborated with like a lot of companies of various scales. Nothing too large, other than Evo Nexus, which is like they're more helping me out than I was doing anything for them. But yeah, I think it's all connections, dude. Like you work your way in there with connections. Like I only found myself in Evo Nexus, which is like people spend years trying to get picked up by Evo Nexus. I only found myself there because I knew some people who knew some people. You know what I mean? And I feel like the other way is to like really wow them with your potential. Like I've seen hella, because I'm really into the visual effects space and like look into that. I've seen tons of artists like just do something they love, and like a company like a Pixar or Disney would be like, "Hey, that was dope. Now do it for us." You know what I mean? But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
That's like, I know that's not the best answer because I'm still working on it myself. Like, how can I? Like, I was speaking to this business owner in Oakland. He owns a coffee shop, and I was like, I do AR, I code. Like, how can I collab with you? And we just like chopped it up for an hour. It's like it's still a work in progress for me, you know.
that's sick though. That's cool because I mean, I can't imagine it being an easy road for anybody, but like I think, like you said, it's the way to the road becomes easy is one of two ways: is the connections or wowing them. You know what I mean? And that's
sometimes learning from the pitfalls within it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that's one thing I noticed in kind of like that drop I was playing. I've noticed like I've started to, that one I don't usually play, but I started to play more so often in the sense of like when people are talking about the journeys and the struggles they've come through, because kind of that's the only reason why that one really rings out, where it's like I'm biking uphill and it's burning my quads. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's really like an uphill battle, as they would say. You know what I'm saying?
So part of the uphill, very true, and I guess within that, like within this uphill battle, what is like the next step with the AR stuff? Is it like, I'll just leave it open ended. I don't want to influence it.
Yeah. The next step is to find something applicable, find something worthwhile to serve people. Like I have ideas for like helping blind people and stuff. But that's above my pay grade. But like on the artistic side, though. It's more like how to enable the creators I know and the people who are like doing dope stuff. You know, like you guys, I would love to make some AR stuff from the Vine Tree.
Hell yeah.
Like it would be like, yeah, you know.
You've already dabbled, I feel like, even in the layout of the Vine Tree, like with the logo spinning right here next to us.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
We definitely have some stuff I think we could help. You could help us bring to life, man. That would be some sick stuff.
Dude, I'd love to. And a part of it is also just like a learning. Like, I definitely want to make like either like a short film or something with AR, like to really show that like if you have a good actor and a good cinematographer and some good AR models and scripting, you can like skip, you know, visual effects. You don't need a visual effects team. You can still use it, to spice it up. But like, yeah,
That's dope. So are you talking about like making like a movie, like
That's
an
cool,
AR
'cause
movie?
that's what I was gonna get into. Like, I like that you
Yeah.
brought that up.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna also talk about the like, I want to know what's the hype on this? Like, there's a new camera that came out that, like, on Google made it, that it's like an anti-blur camera type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, where in real time it just like it's no like focus. Like, that shit just focus. Everything is just 4K. Like, so what I'm saying, like, is that leading to the idea what we're saying, where it's gonna be like you don't really need too much shit to make high quality stuff?
I think so, bro.
Because I just seen a commercial for that like just like yesterday. You know what I mean? So they're still
Yeah.
updating like your ability, and it's like, look how much we can already do, bro.
Yeah. All right. Like a commercial, right? A commercial might have a couple graphic effects happening around the person talking about like what they selling you or something, right? Like they could hire someone to do that, or they could use AR and just project it on top of the film, and the person acts as though they, as they normally would, but you just like saved a ton of money. Now, I might be wrong. It might be like way too much overhead to make a model for everything. But the thing is, like with VFX, you're already doing this, and on top of that, you're making it look like, I call it spicy. You're putting extra sauce on it. You know what I mean?
Have you seen that new Kanye video, the one that just dropped?
Bro, I'm taking those models and I'm putting them in the Kanye scene, because that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I need something low poly. Low poly means like low polygon count, real efficient to like export. And those models are like real blocky, like, right?
That's
like,
literally the way I was describing it to Mauricio. I was like, it looks very like NFT and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it looks like this fool tried to make an NFT music video. Low key, like.
Low key. Yeah, man. And like all those like animations and stuff, like it got me thinking about your idea you mentioned earlier about like having.
Mind Tree Radio.
I'm not really into the whole metaverse idea. I think like I'm also like really into data privacy and open source and like free open source secure software. And anything I see that like steps in the opposite direction of that, I'm like, it's dead in the water for me. You know what I mean? So like all that meta stuff, like it's out of the case for me.
I feel you. It's interesting. Like yeah, no, that is some scary. Like, I agree. Like the data privacy stuff and like open software. Like, I feel like that's of utmost importance, and like that's something that's going to be like a scary thing to see how we transition into all in these different times as tech grows, and as we go into these different phases of life with like these different technologies, the way certain things are handled, both like on like the legal sense and like the way like socially things get accepted, like it's going to be very interesting to see. It's like there's certain things like you're saying, like the data privacy, like that's like, or like keeping things open source, open like ended, like so people can kind of see what's going on, like
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like there's that's going to be very like open and like certain things that need to be brought up front and certain things that need to be like held back, like I don't know. But beyond that, I wanted to touch on how you were mentioning the low poly figures, and like because like I mean I haven't had too much experience with building like AR models. I've only built a couple little things here and there that are like more, I felt that are more like VR based, but I've been using them like on a green screen and then pulling them into making AR. You know what I mean? And then like but like because I haven't like deep dived into like the actual like formation of like full AR stuff, but like within it, I've already like the programs I've used, they focus on like the low poly stuff. Like there's certain capabilities, and I remember having this conversation with someone who was like asking me about this because I was showing them like a couple examples, and they were like oh, that's cool, but it looks like a little Minecrafty. And I was like, I get it, but what it comes down to is that like for computers to be able to render and handle this shit, like Like it needs to be like on that lower end, like to a certain degree, at least to make it accessible for everyone, like on this early state, you know what I mean? And so like within that, there's like it's interesting because I feel like we're seeing this kind of like this wave both within art and like and within this tech side of things, because they're growing together, of like this resurgence of these low poly figures. Because I feel like for a big time it was like a big focus on making things look as realistic as possible. You know what I mean?
Super is all glossy.
Exactly. And whilst that is still a thing to an extent, like I feel like the adding of these like programs that are on like the low poly figure, like the low poly count stuff, are enable more and more people to get into this space, and have enabled more and more people to make their own games, make their own anything, like, you know, within this, like. And so I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on like the transition of that, because like part of that is the file size, not only just like and like the limitations of file size. And we were talking about earlier how like knowing limitations allows you to kind of carve out what you can build, right? And I wanted to get your thoughts on like, because I know that there's like an extensive set of limitations when it comes to file size, when it comes to like AR stuff, and even like I know even for us, like uploading the podcast, I have like a hard ass time sometimes, even just handling some things like that. So I'd imagine like for you there's like that times 30, like to some extent, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, so every piece of the model, like, and you can show the shoe model right now if you want, I guess.
Okay.
But like, it has a lot of little pieces. Like, it has the sole, the threading through the sole, the leather top, the eyelets, the shoelaces, and like even like the little tag on the back. Every bit is its own little model and component that I had to like mesh together. And then, like, I'm essentially trying to get as low poly as possible for every bit of the thing you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, I literally get to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm at like 1 million polys. Let's get to like 10,000. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, after I'm done sculpting it, like, can it look good at 10,000 polys? And if it can, like, we're solid. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like really shaped how I make my models. Because at first I was trying to make like the most detailed things I could, which is still great. You can do that. Just make sure you send it to somebody who has some power in their hands. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely a consideration. And like, that's part of why I'm getting into like coding AR things as well, not just like making them with scripts and different things like that, because then I'll be able to use like the knowledge I have in my wheelhouse, which is like saving things on databases and pulling them into the phone at the time it's needed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like how you guys broke that, I guess the data sizing shit down, because I feel like that's a big thing for me. Even outside of that, just space within shit. Do you feel like you ever run out of space? Like outside of just processing shit, just like holding all the different ideas you have?
Yeah, man. Bro, yeah. I write Medium articles, and like I've only released one. It does really well. It makes me like a little bit of change every month. Like I get like a little $8 kickback from that one article. But like, yeah, it's cool. But I was like, oh, let me like write articles, and I have all these ideas for articles. And then like it's literally it's that meme of like the dude walking with his girl, but like looking back at a different girl. You know what I'm talking about? Like I'm with this project, but I'm also looking back at like 30 different projects at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know it's like regret, love, like all the different things like they put, like they just Photoshop right there, like and the one right here, it's like this project.
Yeah, facts, bro. Like I didn't even mention I'm making a fitness app right now, and it's like a fitness scripting app, so where you can like quickly, like say you know you want to work out on legs, but you don't know what to do. You can quickly look up workouts that other people have made and combine different sections of their workouts into like an automated
Those apps are popping right now. I've seen some other people that use an app like that where it like it's like a social media, but like of workouts where they can like share their workouts and like be like, yo, I did. It keeps track of it for them, and there's like other ones like, this person just did this one today, like.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like my whole thing also is like everything I make is essentially free. Like every product I've made has been free. You know, I found a way to live. But so like I'm trying to make this free, essentially, democratize like the knowledge of fitness. Like I know a lot because I've been a D1 athlete, but it doesn't mean I know a lot about like how to stretch or how to run a fast, a mile or anything like that. And like all that knowledge is just in all of these people's heads and trying to connect that stuff together. You know what I mean?
Would you say that in building that, like, how do I say? You're talking about like the physical app?
Yeah, like an app on the phone. Yeah.
But you said like for working out and shit like that? Like
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask on that, can you I want to ask you to push forward or talk a little bit more about like the idea of wanting to put stuff out for free and like not having to rely on it as like a source of income, so you can kind of have a little more liberty with it. You know how you're saying with it, because you want to put it out there just as like a source of this, like you want to share this for what it is. You know what I mean? If you were relying on it as an income, there'd be other kind of factors and variables that you need to consider within it,
Yeah, no, 100%. So like when I was like down bad broke during like the start of the pandemic when I graduated, I started teaching. Yeah, man. I started teaching like a nonprofit, like teaching computer science to little kids and stuff.
That's it.
Yeah, it was fun. But then like at that point I realized like I'm making so little money, but I'm still like eating, I'm still healthy, I'm still happy, like I have a place to live. So then like I kind of like pseudo felt like I was retired. And at that point I was like, I'm retired at 23. Fuck yeah. So then everything from that point I was like, I'm just gonna make what I want. So even right now, like I know I'm not retired, I still have stress about money sometimes, but like it doesn't, like in my best, I'm retired. And I'm making what I want because I'm retired. You know what I mean? I don't need the money because I'm retired.
I feel, because what I was going to say...
It answers all the questions.
That makes sense, because what I was going to ask you, it had to do with the free part about it. I wanted to know if within making these apps for free, is there any like grants or per se, is that like the way any of them get funded? Like is there any bonus to dropping them for free that you have run into and being like, this is a service and I want to provide this information? Like,
yeah, no, 100%. I think every time like I meet with like an entrepreneur or an investor, like my current in my last company, he was an investor and a co-founder on multiple ventures of mine. He essentially every time I have an idea and I put it out for free or suggest it should be free, like it always gets more popping than like I know for a fact if it wouldn't have been free at first. You know what I mean? And even if it doesn't go like off and like a lot of people don't use it, it gives me just a little bit of buzz to meet enough new people to learn enough to do the next thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Like what doors have you met through the it being free avenue that took it to the next level? I feel like that's a big part of probably why you kept with it.
Yeah, there's a startup in San Diego. It's called Tova League. They're like sports gambling for video games. It's just a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. Sounds hard.
It's cool, but they needed an engineer, and I was like, I'll work for free. And they were like, what? And at first they were going to pay me, and then I showed up, and they hired me, and they said, oh, we can't afford you. And I said, okay, I'll work for free. What's up? And they were like, and then from there we started chopping it up. They told me about startup meetings that were happening in San Diego that I had no clue about, like other entrepreneurs just like meeting and chopping up ideas. So I just would go with them because I'm working for, not for them, but I'm working with them for free. And I didn't really ever make the app for them. I just like spent time with them, helped them ideate. I built a couple of procedures and programs for them. But like, just like being available and like choosing to give a value for nothing in return like people will always, like, not always, but a lot of people will
And sometimes
pay.
it usually pays off a bigger reward because they're like, they see that means something more to them than like you're not just focused on what you're gonna get off of this in the meantime exchange.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
They resonate
And part
off
of
the
it is
passion.
it just also feels good to give a value to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's true. Like to kind of just be like, I'm fronting you this. Like my talents, I'll front them real quick. Just pull through.
I mean, but I will say though, I've definitely been taken advantage of. One of the first companies I
I would
worked
imagine
for.
that would happen. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. One of the first companies I worked for was called iSafe. Terrible company. If you're in a school district that uses iSafe, you should leave that school district. Essentially, it's like a company that like operated a software that like disseminated documents. You know, like you got a school field trip, right? And you want to make sure the parents signed it and stuff. So the program like makes sure everyone who needs to sign it signs it, and it goes back to who it needs to get back to, right? It's a simple idea, but they hired me as both a manager and an engineer.
Wow. So you've worked a lot of jobs, bro.
Bro, yeah, no, I've worked hella jobs. I might have worked a little too much at a certain point, but yeah, it was just like I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. I've led a team before. I've raised money before. Like I can hang in with this company. Hop in there, can't hang. Obviously, I'm fresh out of college. I can't manage people. You know what I mean?
But at least you like went out there and got your chops wet with it. Most people would kind of like a lot of people don't get those opportunities or wouldn't like take them because like you know what I'm saying, they're not like presenting themselves in a way to even be qualified for it. But you was like there like nah, I got the shit. But like you tried it and you said it wasn't like once you got in, you noticed it was like you weren't ready for it.
I noticed they were just like, I wasn't ready for it, and I wasn't performing as well as a person who would have been more suited for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like maybe it wasn't a fit more so type of shit, like to what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. It wasn't a fit, but at the same time, they knew my nature of wanting to like give value all the time. So they used that to get a ton of shit out of me while also being like, hey, but you suck at being a man. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Like they didn't have no intentions of really fucking with you on a deeper level, but they wanted to suck with everything that like you were down to put into it.
Exactly.
That's burnt.
Exactly. It was super burnt, bro. That was the point where I realized I need to like I quit that job. I started teaching, and I was like, I'm retired. like I've done too much.
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree. I see it. I think that was the right move, how you outlined it. And I wanted to kind of touch on, you made a distinction to say that you didn't work for, but you worked with that company. Can you push on that a little bit? Because I like that. I like what you said there. I want to hear a little bit more on that.
Yeah. One thing I've learned in like making all these companies and like working with people in their companies is paperwork, and like more paperwork. You gotta have something in writing. You gotta hold yourself and others accountable. And like, it was great working with them, but if I was working for them, some of the things I let slide, some of the things I like overreached for and did for them, I wouldn't have done because it's contractual. You know, like we signed this, we're doing this. If you falter, we got to talk about that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But if I'm working with you, we're on an agreement that we're learning together and we're going to stumble. Like, if I'm working for you, you're saying you can guide this shit and you need my services. If you can't guide this shit, don't say I'm working for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where
that's a deep point. I see what you're saying. Like it's almost like just true to the statement itself. Like if like you know what I'm saying. Like if I'm working for you, then it's like I'm gonna just do this service. Tell me where to do this service at.
Exactly. Yeah.
And outside of that, I understand that. I'm left like that on jobs where it's like if I'm gonna do some shit outside of my job, bro. Like and there's a reason too. If you will
address it,
there's like gonna be a reason for me to do some shit or something. You know what I mean? Like it's just a deeper reason. Like it's not just gonna be just cause. Like you know what I mean? Unless that was what we agreed on, you know?
Exactly, yo.
Like, I'm not just gonna just up and just do some shit just to do some shit unless I'm like trying to have a deeper goal in hand in doing that. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's dope.
I wanted to touch on your anthill theory, Mauricio, a little bit more.
Yeah. More than happy to talk about it.
I know we've been going on for a minute, and I don't know how long y'all do this usually for. It like varies, right?
Yeah.
All right. So like, there's this idea called the dark forest theory.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
I have not.
So like, imagine a forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have all these organisms. You have ants. You have spiders, snakes. Each of them are in this state of darkness. Like they're both hunting, but trying not to be hunted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're only really exposing yourself to get what you need, your sustenance, and then you're back hiding, right? Is it fair to say that's how most life works, right? Like humans, until we became the apex predator, were hiding from shit all the time, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
So now take that to a bigger scale, like an even like larger scale, like how you said, like we're all ants and we're kind of this one organism that's like doing these things, these patterns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it too far of a reach to consider that like Earth itself is one organism in a dark forest of many other organisms, all just
No, it's not. I've
waiting.
considered that shit for sure. I've definitely. I mean, like, have you ever seen Rick and Morty, bro? Or like, you ever seen like a show that really will kind of like parallel your universe and make it seem like how simple it is for them to just switch a few factors and be like, this is just another one. Like, I could see how we could be kind of lost in, like, even like I like how you said that. Like, even in when you brought up the ant thing, that's kind of what I was thinking about. That like, I always thought about the ant thing in the way that I've thought of like that's one of the civilizations that just makes me really realize that there could possibly be other whole ass like just other whole ass communities and civilizations, because if some little ass ants could have all of that, that's like a world. You know what I mean? Like they're communicating and all this shit like that. I'm thinking that how many other worlds are there, and how many other like, you know what I mean, like systems are there, and like deeper than that, if the Earth itself is one, you know what I mean? Like what if there's all these other fucking ones out there?
That's some crazy shit for sure within the alternate reality stuff. And
because look at an ant, bro. Look how minimal ants need to create that whole world, right? Think about on another planet how minimal some other insect something was, and then add in a little more consciousness, add in a little more. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, even at the human scale, like when you look at the timeline of the Earth, like we're like a second to scale of a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like of all the resources we could have used and are using, like there's an organism somewhere using more to do more. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like it's crazy.
No, I agree. I see there is a million possibilities like in the alternate reality verse of like what can happen, but also I think within what you were saying is like the world that we live in here and like seeing like the Earth, you know, that we're in now, and I agree with you wholeheartedly in that. Like I really do think that it's like in a certain sense like the Earth is an organism, and we're just like, if I want to call it parasites on it, we're parasites, man. Like we're like the way
call it parasites, bacteria, like all bacteria aren't good, all aren't bad.
True.
They all serve a function.
It can be like a symbiotic relationship. Like we can help, but I feel like the reason I said parasites is because like low-key I was looking at a picture like today or yesterday, bro, of like it was the Earth, right? But it showed all the satellites that we currently have in orbit, all of their orbit, all like moving around the Earth, right?
It's a crazy,
The visual of it looks insane. It honestly, to me, it looked like fleas on like a bread, you know, like an old piece of food. Like it looked insane. But you couldn't even see the Earth, bro. Like it was crazy how much there was going on, right? And that really like when you were telling me about that, like it really made me think of this image came into my mind as to like why I do think we are organisms. And the reason why I said parasites was because I feel like in the sense of like while we can live symbiotically with the Earth, I feel like the way society as a whole has been pushed now, in my opinion, like we just seem to kind of we take advantage of the Earth a little bit too much. And like,
you ever seen Men in Black 2?
I think so. I don't know. I can't say like I remember the plot like that. But
any real one knows exactly what I'm about to talk about. Those little dudes in a locker.
Bust it open.
Those little dudes in a locker, bro.
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about? The little dudes in a locker. Oh wait, I feel like I would want to be living.
Yeah, the little gray dudes.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to live in that universe. But they touched on what Mauricio happened. Like just spoke on like they had that was like the first little Rick and Morty joke. You know what I mean? Like they like had their issues in
That's
society.
funny, bro.
That was the first one, bro. Like they went in, opened it.
We should get some context. Essentially, it's like little organisms living in a locker, and they got a whole world.
Yeah, and the thing is, because in Men in Black, random stuff like that will happen where it's like little, like just side plots of like shit that they just didn't close, and that's one of the things that the main agent has when the homie finds out about him on his new day. He's like, oh, you never cleared up this whole ass organism living in a locker, and then upon the time they have to go in there to grab some shit, and then they pop in, and somehow they made the thing become like some shrine, like in there. You know what I mean? Like the key or whatever. Like it's become like, you know what I mean? Like an object they worship in there, like because that's their world. Like, and I was like, but they have like issues and shit like that. Remember they used to have like. There was weird, like this one had like I think like a dirty movie in there, and then it became like a theater. You know what I'm saying? It was like the same issues in organisms that people have, like they formed because they're an organism like us, and that was the little hint that they were giving you in that movie that like as they went back, and he's like, yo, what the fuck? Like the world is ruined now because they took the thing. Like they get in that house the same way Rick and Morty do, like how simple stuff. Like you can put all of us in like a different box, and then it'll still be us. Because we organisms, like how it's like some other shit is organisms. You know what I mean? Just put a X and Y, a different object. You know what I'm saying? Like the X and Y of different person for who gave you the opportunity to, you know what I'm saying? And then you gonna worship that person. They worship the agent because he was giving them food and coming through and being like, J, K, Agent K. They were like, you know what I'm saying?
No, 100%. I feel that on like a deep note, like I was thinking about traditions for a while, and like traditions are like, if you think about it, if you go through the history of most traditions, it's like this saved us from being killed, and that's why we do this now. And like fast forward thousands of years, people still do it because they don't know why they do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like shit crazy.
That's wild though. I was like, you bring that up really made me think of that. I'm like, wow, that was so young when they were making that joke. Like, but it was like one of the movies that was playing on our perception of other civilizations and universes, and it's like movies and art and all that have always been the medium to kind of like break those ideas, you know what I mean, like to the masses. And then people start being like, wait, that shit was, we thought that was so far-fetched, but like how far-fetched was that? Like,
yeah, man,
that's some crazy shit.
It's not that far-fetched. What's that thing? I'm gonna say the wrong number, but they were saying that like the chances of this being a simulation was like 85% or some shit like that. like it would be astounding if it wasn't a simulation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because those movies came out when I was a little ass kid, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was grown ass people at that time on there like, this is probably a simulation, bro. But they're probably like, we can't really talk about this shit, so we gotta like write about this shit and like see if other people thinking the same shit. And then they put that shit out, and other people as time went on started thinking the same shit to the degree where we started seeing much more of it. You know what I'm saying? Much more exploration into the idea.
Yeah, no doubt. And like like one thing I was thinking about is like, what is a computer? What is a system? Because like there's a definition for it, of course, but like you know, as I said earlier, like we are systems. We all work in systems, and like it's just really interesting to see like our systems are made up of things that had answers at one point, and they might not have answers anymore. You know what I mean? Like in the same way that like the Men in Black with the little dirty tape, it shaped like a whole era for them. You know, and now that like shapes how they think for who knows how long, and like that's all because some dude like left it in the locker, bro.
Exactly. Like it's literally that, like the point I mentioned on the tip of like, what if the shit's an accident?
I want to.
Yo, we literally could be a speck on a shoe.
Certain
like,
things put it into perspective, bro. Like just whatever happened to give you the most meaning and you attach some more shit to, that's how it plays out.
I wanted to kind of touch on a tangent of like the tradition thing, and I feel like it kind of touches on this exactly what we're just talking about right now. You mentioned how so many traditions are like are ways that were initially done for whatever reason, right? Like mostly survival.
Yeah.
But it's things that happened and that just have stayed, and like we've gotten to this point where like the reason that people do them now isn't for the same reason that they were brought into existence. You know what I mean? Like when they were brought into existence, it was out of a need. Now it's out of like remembrance in a certain sense, right? And within that, I feel
kind
like,
of, yeah.
and like within that, I was trying to say like that it was within that remembrance of that tradition, like you said, like people don't even know why they do it sometimes in a certain point. Like now it's just like they do it to do it. And like I was thinking about like a lot, like honestly I was thinking, like I remember hearing like you hear like the term like melting pot, right, for the United States, or like in certain cities like they're more like called the melting pot, right?
Yeah.
But like even within that, there's still so many forms of like discrimination and like division within like these areas. And it's like I kind of started questioning as like what is there certain reasons as to like certain things, why, like what is it these divisional causes? Part of it is traditional values and like the things that have been implemented for so long that people just can't get rid of for whatever fucking reason. They just like do it because they don't know why else to do it in a certain sense, right? And it made me think of like how difficult it is to abandon those things, because even in certain places where you would presume that like certain things wouldn't be considered anymore, like they still exist, because like some things that are just like so rooted into like one thing, like even if it's like, and we can relate it back like kind of like on the tip of like the Men in Black thing, where it's like when they took away that like affected them to be like, oh no, now like it changed like their whole thing. Like that's even like on a religious tip, like because like they built like a whole thing in like society based on this whole concept of this thing. But like what if that was just like that isn't even like the intent of like when it was brought into existence, like what it was meant to be, right? And so like people stick to these like beyond just religion, just like all kind of like moral and ethical values that are so, I felt like they aren't really giving too much thought as to why they're doing it now. It's just like that's just what they believe is the right way to do, right? And it's just like this
facts,
and it's the struggle of like even within living in a melting pot. I was like, we live in a melting pot, but like people have such a hard time, or maybe it just takes a large amount of time for people to be able to like transition past these things. But within that, like it made me think of like within the melting pot, like how fast can things melt? Like how long does it take for these things to kind of like blend in and for people to lose these old values and like to adopt new ones? Because even throughout history, when you look at it, like don't get me wrong, like no one has like the same fucking values, in my opinion, that like existed in like the year negative 10 that like minus 10 KBC or some shit like that. You know, I don't even know when like people came in like fully into existence, but like even within that, like it's progressed. Like people have changed their views, don't get me wrong, within time, but it's like a matter of time. And then like there's certain things that like have stayed traditionally strong for so long, and it's kind of like analyzing that, like how long does it take for people to abandon certain traditional values, and like what is it that even sets these traditional values? Like we were saying, like in these instances where like one little thing can just like set like a whole wave of like this whole cultural society is built on like the whole concept of one thing that was like, what, how did this even, you know?
Well, I feel like I mentioned earlier, it's just whatever is the one X or Y that gives you that certain level of like or at least the way they depicted it in there, that like in conception, like whatever's the biggest, you know what I'm saying? Like if nobody else kind of knows like what this shit is, like if like in that instance it's the dude's coming in, he's opening the door, they can't open the door, you know what I'm saying? They can't just open the door and walk out. He could open the door and walk out. I feel like that's where our brain kind of goes to that tribal sense with it and builds the tradition. It's kind of just like muscle memory, where it's like, you know, to get to the fucking other side, I had to get big dogged. There was like a big dog that got me to the other side, like, you know what I'm saying? And then that kind of mental muscle memory wise forms it in you, how you feel about that person and that figure or that thing, you know what I'm saying? Because you know that tool or whatever, that's what in history makes those tools the things we then worship, because it's significance to our access and our consciousness, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. That got me thinking on like a slightly like same thing, but like a slightly a different angle. Like I previously learned this past month on Black History Month that like the reason why there's a stereotype of black people and watermelons. Do y'all know about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had heard about it before back in the days, like, yeah.
I'm not sure why.
It essentially like black people were, free from slavery, right? Went back to being a sharecropper because they had no other skill or no other opportunity other than like the same job, but just getting paid shitty for it now. But they all realized, like, they all started to make their own little patches of land and growing watermelon and selling it to people during the summers and shit. So they became a bunch of rich black families off of watermelons. And like some racist people used it as a trope to like make fun of black people. You know what I mean?
I remember that. That was like the history behind it. It was like basically they started making money off of watermelons in the business, and they'll go to rich areas and sell watermelons, and it was profitable, bro. And then
damn, so they really try to flip the narrative and like.
Well, yeah, they did. No, they did flip the narrative. Like, it was fucked. Like it was. They made it with the Jim. What's that shit? Like the Sambo characters and shit. Like pretty much like those same characters. Like they would make them almost on some like derogatory like drawings, and then put like the watermelon with the shit, which was in a sense directly the same way like we talk about in the COINTELPRO Pro shit to stop progress. Like the whole, literally just the whole progress. Like it wasn't an issue until people start making money off of it.
Exactly. And like it's crazy how like as a society we know like it's wrong to like meet a black person and just like straight up offer them a watermelon first thing that like, you know what I mean? Like just be like, hey yo, I got a watermelon for you. You know what I mean? Like that's probably like insensitive. But at the same time, like you don't know why it's insensitive. You just know it's like it's culturally, you know what I mean?
And that's a part of narrative flipping. You know what I'm saying? It's like they make the narrative on something, one thing, and then now that it's that thing, like people don't know what it's about. They just know that that's a narrative on, like that's the story of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then that's pushed more so than like people even, you know what I'm saying, even know, because they don't know like that's what they're pushing in a sense. But like I get what you're saying. Like that type of shit is a part of traditions and shit that we carry, like that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like people carry certain like there's a lot of negative shit that people carry on them that they kind of learned about in conception of them that they also let form into some bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
I would say that most stereotypes are like based off the idea of like that judgmental factor of like in this sense of like.
Well, actually, I've always been the first one to say that some stereotypes are real though. Like there are certain shit I've felt like where it's like it came from a place. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, like you can't tell me a black person in the 1800s post-slavery who's selling watermelon does not enjoy watermelon. Like it was probably true at that point.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that's exactly what you're saying. Like they had the watermelons, but it's almost like something in that gets, I guess you're saying like, it's like it's something in that gets lost in the sense of the stereotypes in almost all stereotypes. You know what I'm saying? Like there's something about the truth in it that gets turned into like a negative derogatory thing in almost all of them. You know?
Yeah. It's almost like that thing where like every joke is funny because there's like a bit of truth in it.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like,
except this is like
the point in a lot of the stereotypes is that there's some truth in them, or else it wouldn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be like a thing talked about if it was just like, you know what I'm saying? If it didn't land at all, like if it was just some shit that it would just be like nobody would understand it. They'd be like, why would you relate those things? They're never together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's also crazy how like there's this learned thing of a stereotype, but then like they somehow like cut off the like explainer of why it exists.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting at. Like
hateful thing.
like somehow that's not connected to it. I just saw some shit run across your floor. I hope it was like a cat.
Is Shadow still out here?
No, I hope it was like a cat and not a rat. That looked like a cat though. You know what I mean? Like it had good climbs.
Those are different scales, my guy. If you see a rat, it's a.
It was just a dark furry object walking across the path real fast type shit. You know,
it could have been a bunny, low key.
Okay, yeah, he got a lot of bunnies. It was all of those vibes, like all three of those vibes.
Every single one of them. Yeah, no, I feel it.
But yeah, I feel like we could get into the life affirmation segment if you don't have any more technical questions.
I mean, we also do like a part 2 later when we got some more shit to talk about. You know what I mean? Some more.
Yeah, always do that, man. If you ever want to come to fucking New York, when we get this shit to New York, man, you got to come do it over there too.
That sounds fun as hell. You know, I'm with it. So yeah, man, I'm trying to travel more for sure because like I can kind of like move around with my current situation. So I'm trying to enjoy that while I can.
Feels that, man. Same thing for me, bro. I'm definitely gonna try to go to Mexico this summer. I've never been to Mexico. I've been to like Juarez when I was like a kid, but every time I tell people that, they're always like, "Damn, like why'd you go there?" Like, and I'm just like, well, my family just lives like right across the street. Like, it was not some like I didn't really go to Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, I just went like to the mall.
Yeah.
And then back home. But I'm about to go to like Mexico. I'm excited. Traveling is something I feel like really changes your perspective, bro. You know what I mean? Like seeing different parts of the world, like
100%.
because it's like the same shit we're talking about. Like you see different ecosystems and systems, and the way people live, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like this is the one I've been trapped in looking at. Like there's all these different ones. Like you know.
Facts. 100%. I love seeing people who are expats just because like I don't know, there's something about like choosing to be like, I don't like this system, but that one over there fine. And then just being like,
that's crazy.
I'm here now.
That's crazy.
Wait, what's an expat? I'm sorry.
From what I understand, how I use the term, it's like a person who's like left their origin. You know what I mean?
Okay, like expatriate or something like that? Or what?
I think so. I just see it on social media and I use the word.
Just somebody that's just like, I guess, like a kind of like just a relocated person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like a new term of like a refugee, but in like a hard way.
Okay.
Like a non-hard.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not like you had to, but
this
like,
is like
you're
you
down.
wanted to.
Yeah. This is like that. I'm down.
Okay. That's hard.
Well, anything else you want to get to for life information?
No, I think we touched on a lot of really good stuff today.
We got
honestly.
into the Bible. We got into the journey into Bible. We got into a lot of deep talk on the fucking life and the concept of it in itself, which I figured we would get into because, you know what I'm saying, when you're coding, like that's how we got into it. When you're coding, you're crafting reality, you get into what reality even is, you know what I'm saying?
Bro, y'all gotta watch the show Devs.
No? The Devs?
It's on Netflix, it's on Hulu. It's literally talking about like making AI to reconstruct reality in real time. So they start off with like a cell, right? And a cell grows in a very systematic way, right? It's a single cell, and then it splits off and does mitosis, and then I'm gonna stop there because I don't know the rest of the process. But but basically, it's a process that's like reproducible, and it has a variations occasionally. So they wanted to like make a program that could replicate a real cell side by side and match its growth. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they start to do that. They get past that stage, and then they're like,
so this is like the documentary of people making reality.
It's because
they're like looking at cells in its life, and they're just like, all right, I'm gonna try to make life. They're like, let's go. Like, first step, this is life.
I mean, like,
honestly, that's what it sounds
it's
like.
not a documentary, it's a show, but it gets crazy, bro. It gets
that's
to the point
wild.
where,
Like now I'm really thinking about how that could go. Like when you get to the next step, it's like, all right, I see the brain forming. Let's add in thoughts.
Literally, like, how do we expand past that? Like, they got to the point where they were able to reproduce the entire room they were in and predict where people were going to move and where people were going to like sit for the rest of the day, and then eventually just got to the whole building, the whole office, and they were able to predict everyone in the office. And they just got bigger and bigger. It's crazy. It's literally crazy because everything's a system.
I feel like within that probably really like shows or gives light to like the whole like idea of like simulation theory, like because it's all out, like, because all that is built off like algorithm based of like what they presume people are going to be doing at certain moments and stuff like that, and like the fact that can be quantified after a certain point is like scary, I guess, in one aspect, or maybe liberating in another. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't know. I feel like the real answer is like not knowing is the bliss. Like, if we really found out there was an algorithm running this whole thing and we saw the ones and zeros and knew how it worked, I think we'd be a little disillusioned. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100.
That's crazy.
I feel like I've seen some of the ones and zeros of life, and I'm a bit disillusioned.
Bro, can you put that on a t-shirt?
Yeah, man, that's a good one right there.
Well, that's a perfect. I see some of the ones and zeros in life, and I'm
a bit disillusioned.
Bro, that's a real deal quote. You gotta coin that one.
That's a bar right there.
Yeah, but on a side note, one quick before we get to life affirmations, I just did want to ask you. Have you ever deadlifted, bro? I just started deadlifting for like the first time because I always stayed away from those shits, and my back is really fucking hurting, man.
Yeah, man, you gotta keep that form, but if
exactly what he said.
If it like hurts, but it's not painful, it just hurts.
It's not painful. It's probably just sore. It's just sore.
Yeah,
it's my second time doing it. I took a break day, but like this is my second time doing it. I fuck with the other shit, but like I don't know. I just haven't leveled up to deadlifting. But Little Uzi motivated me, bro. He be fucking.
Oh, that man's on it.
He be going crazy, bro. Like with mad weight. I'm like this little ass motherfucker, man.
Bro. Yeah, man. I would fuck with power cleans too. You fuck with power cleans?
Yeah, I think that's the same shit. I think that's the shit I was doing where it's like you just kind of like hold it, reverse grip, and just pull up.
No, that's a sumo deadlift, which is like this, right? Like, a power clean is like, like you start as a deadlift and then you pull it up and you slip it.
Oh yeah, see, I gotta level up to that. I feel you.
I hate it though.
No, but you do it with the bar, like because your goal is to catch it in a quarter squat. You get really good at the pickup part, which is the whole deadlift. You know what I mean?
I feel what you're saying. Yeah, like you have to use the same shit to deadlift while you're doing that, and you get to kind of give yourself some fucking vibes with it.
Exactly, and you can do it like super lightweight because the whole point about it is like form. Yeah, you know. So yeah.
Side working out, no and shit. I don't want to get too deep.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into that right now.
One last thing I wanted to touch upon before we break into the life affirmations was I remember that you were one of the, from what I've heard, like the early folks, like at least in the know of like Bitcoin and crypto, like in that scene. I want to get your thoughts because from what I heard, you were into it like back in like high school days.
I was in it like as a freshman. Like that's when
I remember you in the chat talking about some like you had some Bitcoin and then you sold that shit.
Was that?
That's crazy, bro.
Date that real quick.
You're that homie. This is the homie that had the Bitcoin and literally sold that shit before like nobody knew. Like I was like a little kid. We were in high school, bro.
Yeah, man. If you look at the price of Bitcoin at that point, and then you see when I sold it,
yeah, because I remember you were telling me, bro, like the price was like it was so cheap then, like.
But
it was so cheap.
But you saw something there before a lot of folks did. You know what I mean? Just the fact, because 100% transparency back then, it was not easy as fuck at all to get crypto. Like I didn't get into it until like I didn't get word of it. Not because I didn't get into it until like later. But like I didn't start to get word of it until I went into college, like the first year of college.
Like how the fuck you just had it?
But and like and at that point it was hard. How did you get it back then? Yeah.
So like I'm doing research all the time, right? I'm always reading about tech, like just to learn what's popping, you know, like what I could do. And I saw this crypto thing, and then in the crypto thing, I saw that the U.S. government is either the Pentagon or some big body had done all the mathematical shit and figured out that like a cryptographic decentralized money system is possible and is beneficial. Like the government wrote that paper, right? And then I saw that research was being used to make all these cryptocurrencies. And I was like, wait a minute. The U.S. government says this is like the best option. There's people making this shit right now. And I just like got real into it.
Just had that little inclination of being like, okay, it's gonna be legit. There's like, it took you to see something of it, kind of confirming that this is about to be legit, and that was the thing for you. Like, that was like, oh, this is about to be legit.
The government, like, well, because the thing is, like math is math, and if the government says, hey, this math adds up, and other people are like using it, I'm like,
I feel you. Like, it's just strength in numbers. Like, people are gonna follow what the fuck they say is working because they have already.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean like Bitcoin's going to win or any crypto's going to exactly win or anything. It just means like the system mathematically works if implemented correctly.
Yeah.
So my mom, she was like, oh, this could make us money. Let's go like learn about it. So she started like finding all these groups in like downtown LA of like these older rich people who were just like buying Bitcoin by the masses and selling it off at the same time. Like
Dog, imagine if you would have been plotting right then, though.
Bro, I was plotting. That's the thing. Like as a high schooler, like as a sophomore, I'm really talking to like old, like
that's so crazy.
Like in particular, there's one older Asian woman. She was loaded, and she was like down for it all the shit coins, everything. She was just down for it all. And then every time my mom would show up,
it all, like anything you bought, any coins you bought, or like she was down
to sell you. Showed her, she was like, "I'm with it."
She was down to buy. Oh, she was investing. She was investing like crazy, and I guess that's.
I literally would say any word, and she'd buy it.
And that's how shit built up right at that time, because you needed people, right? Like it needed people to pop off. And she's like, "Fucking, I'm down. Whatever it is, I'm like, bro." Because not gonna lie, shout out to the Asian ladies in the casino, bro, because they be out there killing it, bro. Like I'll be at the slots, and there was this lady going off. Like me and my dad was at a couple winning machines, and there was this lady next to us, like waiting. And as soon as my dad got up, or whoever's next to me, she posted up to that machine. And then she was waiting, and like her squad was waiting for when I got up. They took that one too, bro, because it's like they on some fucking, bro. She was on some like I'm gonna put in whatever. How do you say, like, I'm gonna put my coins in all these buckets, you know what I'm saying? Because one of them is gonna hit. And that's how like that lady was on. She was like, fuck it, like I'm putting my coins in all these buckets. One of them's about to pop.
Bro, they were moving Bitcoin like every month. They make like 10,000 off of Bitcoin at that point, just by buying a shit ton as a group, holding it, waiting for the price to balloon and sell.
So just like early pump and dumps, like with low key hype, like not even a pump and dump. It was low key.
We didn't even have publicity. You know what I mean? It was just more like let's hold it. I feel you.
It's a big difference because it was a low key time. Like no one knew about it in general, so it's more key like a secret society pump and dump.
Okay, because I'll be honest.
But then it got
the idea
crazy.
of pump and dump just gives like the idea that it's like with malicious intent. Like I feel like there's some fluctuations within it.
I don't think you have to say it in that way. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's like blank. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm saying in the way of just like literally what he's saying. Like we're waiting for it to balloon, and then getting the fuck out of there. But I'm just saying that on the tip of that, like. The negative part that I guess I'm differentiating, that he was also differentiating in the sense of like publicity aspect of the pump, like you know what I'm saying, like it's not like there's no hype really, there wasn't like hype involved in it at that point because it was like if it was like it just wasn't hyped yet.
Yeah,
that's crazy though. So how did you go about? Because like, can you talk? Because like, man, we're talking about what, like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, this wasn't hyped at all then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this is back in the day. So like, what was the process of getting that shit? You know what I mean? Like
it sounds like some secret society shit.
Because I remember like when my homie showed me it, like he had to go to like the bank to do like a transfer.
Was it the dark
using
web?
The dark web, like
I did dabble in the dark web. For like,
I'm all like,
but then I realized like I can't be playing in this space. Like I just wasn't savvy enough to like really touch it like that.
Were there people you had to go through, like guys at the time that like handled all of the finances as far as like the Bitcoin transfers and shit, or did they give you shit to do it yourself from your computer? Like,
Nah, like this is the thing. Like I literally would show up at these meetings every week with my mom. It'd be like 20 people, right? All older, all have money. I would like tell them all the research I spent my time reading, because you know we're kids, we have all this time. Like I literally spent a bunch of time reading this shit that they didn't read. So I tell them all this shit, and they're like, "Okay, so what do you think is gonna blow?" And I was like, "This, and this," and they would just buy it. Jeez. So it kind of was like a playground for me to like learn how to like
how it works in a sense.
Yeah, like watch the crypto market, like because
you were out here being the financial advisor for all these rich ass motherfuckers, dude. You out here fucking setting the crypto wave. You're the market maker. Yeah,
this was out here like Nike. He's like fucking Uber. He's like, I tell you, Zoom's finna pop.
Oh, I fucking got no, man. I mean,
but I'm just saying though, it probably was like, but like I see what you're saying though. Like I've always looked at it like that in life though. That like. People invest in shit you'll not believe, bro. But a lot of times it's because, how do I say, like a lot of the bigger stuff in life is attached to the realer stuff in life, and a lot of times people kind of just find out what that shit is and invest in it, if you will. So they're always looking for that like person that's on the grip of culture, that's on the nose of some shit, and like listening to them, because when you're that entrenched in that world, sometimes you're not entrenched in the other world. Sometimes to know what's gonna pop, similar to like what you were saying. You know what I mean? Like the fools that have the means to do that sometimes they have so
Don't be
much
doing
means to do that they're just gonna go out and like pay for the people to be here to tell them what to invest in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, nigga, I'm not gonna waste no time thinking up some crazy shit. I could just ask Tobenna.
So were they
Bro,
like?
I didn't even make no money off that whole thing. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how. So what was that exchange like? Was it them just like you just showed up and they were just asking you like, hey, what do you think? And
Did your moms make some bands?
Yeah. So
Okay,
my mom
that's
was
good.
like a partner in it. So she's like putting up her money in the pot with them, right?
okay.
And like I'm putting in my money separately in my own little whatever cash I have, you know, like my $10, $15, just like seeing how it grows and moves, right?
Yeah.
And they're moving like thousands at a time. So yeah, it was just like a little bit of a playground for me to like see how crypto moves. And like it's crazy because like I've seen this shit so many times now. Like I've been in it, like I see the cycle. Like people get hyped, it dies down. Some terrible shit happens. It dies down even more. People get hyped, and it's just like this cycle. And then like so like I'm basically off of like I essentially have stopped all that shit. I only do Cardano and Bitcoin, and like what's the other one? I don't know. I can break down my portfolio later, but like like I'm not with all that hype shit. Like I've just seen it too many times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's some real shit. Like, and that's very interesting because like seeing the way, like, and one thing that I've in this past like year and a half or so, I feel like I've started to try to pay more attention to like different markets, whether it be like the crypto market, the stock market, different global markets, like, and within that, like, one thing I've learned is that like the movement of money is the movement of people and like the movement of thought, and like how you're saying
So
like it, and like the way you say like the hype and like you've seen the cycles and how it works, like that's a really like that's a big thing, like being able to sit back and analyze that, especially for since you were exposed to it at such a young age. Like I feel like you have a very interesting perspective on like being able to see that because you've been exposed to it for so long, and like analyzing that really gives like I feel like an interesting perspective on folks, because I'm sure you see it like translated beyond just like I'm sure those trends you've seen it like translate into other trends going on at the same time in society and stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like the whole decentralization thing, like society as a whole is decentralizing. Like people are leaving their jobs to hold multiple gigs and live off that because it's more fulfilling. Like they decentralize their work habits. Like I think that's like the whole thing. Like I saw this a piece earlier I read this week that was talking about how like in the far future people will buy cars from brands that make like 50 cars or like 100 cars because like the tech and the skill, like a level to make a good car would have been so like entrenched in people, right? That like instead of you buying a Ford or something, you buy the car like that guy made who lives in Pasadena because he made it dope, and you want and like you trust that car works for you. You know what I mean? Like
the
imagine 30
features
years ago.
like the features that car has, you're gonna be more capable to get from the smaller companies. Like what you're saying?
Just like it just has what you like.
Yeah, like
you know
what
I
you'll
mean?
like, it'll be more capable to get from them versus like the other people. It's not gonna have the same shit no more. But is that just because you're saying like our taste will evolve to that?
I'm just saying people will feel more comfortable with that. Like imagine 30 years ago, I told you, hey, quit your job, deliver food, and pick people up from the airport. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
But now you'd be like,
I just
okay,
saw that shit
I'll
on the
hop
news,
Uber.
bro. There was some fool on the news like talking about something like that. Clip went viral over him talking about the gas prices. He's like, I'm out here trying to DoorDash, but it's like literally like kind of like a meme. Like he's like at talking to the news, and he's like, I'm just out here trying to DoorDash, and I can't even get it done.
Damn,
But it's like because the
man.
gas is just crazy. But I'm like, bro, that's crazy how like you're saying like we now at that point that's in the news. Like that's one way of life we didn't kind of really look at as like something I guess for real. Yeah.
No facts, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy to see the decentralization. So, do you see it as a positive or negative?
I see it as a big positive. I think I think even social medias would be decentralized. Like I'm trying to get it going right now with like a Discord. I think people will make up like their own social medias that is just exactly what they want, and have the option to link into other social medias that contain other things. You know what I mean? And like, it's not like it's going to be ran by a big company. It's going to be ran by people who want to run it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's how, like, so there's this thing called the DeepNet. DeepNet is an internet project that uses decentralized like internet and like a VPN. Like essentially, your internet service that you pay for at your house, right? You broadcast out openly to other people on the network, and they pay you for using your internet service, right? Almost like how, like, if everyone had a well, but you had the cleanest and like fastest well to get water from, people would pay you for that water. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
like, why am I paying AT&T when this guy has 5G? The fuck, you know?
So is I guess the step to that, like, just all of us being able to like have like our own, I don't want to say router, because I feel like router is based off some, like, using another person's satellite. So is it like our own way of, like you're saying, broadcasting things? Like, how does that work exactly, that you can use your thing to broadcast?
Yeah, so like, you pay for internet, it comes to your house, right? You plug in a box that then is like a filter for you. And that box makes your internet capacity, your bandwidth, available to other people who have this box, right? So, like, back to a town well situation, like, you know, you might only have AT&T and Time Warner Cable for internet in your area, right? And their town well is dirty, and you have nowhere else to go but there, so you're drinking dirty water. It's an example, right? But with this box, essentially, anyone across the world who has clean enough water for me, I can just pay them instead and get that water. Does that make sense?
Interesting. Okay.
And that's like internet, like literal internet. So this would be like a side internet away from the main internet that can click into the main internet. You know what I mean? Like a one product on it was ads, right? Like, you want to run ads on the internet, right? Why pay Google when you can pay users on this network to choose to look at your ad? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's
I've seen like a small like iteration of that, like in like, have you heard like the Brave browser?
Yeah. I use the Brave browser.
Yeah. Like, I've seen like that implemented that a little bit, and I think that's a really sick like concept. That's some sick shit.
Dude, Kanye said it best. You gotta pay me for what I gave you. You know what I mean? Like, you taking, like, he was talking to paparazzi and about them taking pictures of him and shit. But like, same shit with tech. Like, they take our data, use it. Like, we are the products. Fucking, if I'm the product, treat me like I'm worth something.
Facts.
One day I think that'll happen. Essentially, I feel like one day we really will, like, how I say, demand more, if you will.
Bro, on some like low-key, you know, post capitalist like shit, like, it's literally power to the people, power to the people that produce the shit,
the
like
creators. You know what I'm saying? I feel like one day, essentially, I feel like we will demand more. Like, I feel like we do give up a lot of, at least people in general, their data and shit like that. I know even I do and shit like that. I feel like one day we'll really be like, there'll be facilities and shit, ways for us to facilitate going to these independent platforms and really just being like, all right, whoever's like, you know what I'm saying, not like, I can just put my shit here. I think those areas will grow big enough, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and like, I think it's just like, people got to know, and people don't know yet. And I don't know. Like, I thought about like making a course or like finding a way to disseminate this information. You know what I mean? Like, for example, I don't have passwords on any of my accounts. I have like a physical key that I plug into my computer. So if you wanted to, so if you wanted to sign into my email, you would have to knock me out, grab this key, and then sign into my email. You know
so what happens if you lose the key? You got a backup key, or it's the same shit, huh?
I got a backup key, and I have a whole system to like turn off the last key. But yeah, like, I mean, it is kind of one and done if I lose the key. If I lose those keys, I don't know. But at the same time, like, I'm literally unhackable.
I like that, because it's like we do that with regular important shit too. Like, we have keys to our fucking house. You have mad important shit in your fucking house. Like, you have spare keys to your car. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
The
like,
shit you could break into your window if, like, if you needed to get in, like you're like,
is there a person? Is there a
keys.
person you can call though to like get into your shit if you lose your key?
There's companies that allow that, but like
Not the one you use.
I
Like
don't
it's
wanna
more like
trust
on the
anybody.
on the
Like you're
security
using
tip.
one that's more secure on that tip of like you don't even want one that can do that. Gotcha.
Yep. Bro, I'm trying to get to the point where like I literally have my own cloud infrastructure. Like I don't use a Google Drive. I
Get a
use
chip.
Drive.
Get the key as a
What?
chip implanted into you.
Now I'm good.
You know what I'm saying? Like get the
I think
key.
there's like a
Shit.
fine line.
You
in
could
all this
only
shit.
open the computer if you're physically there. Like physically, the chip is in my hand. My hand got to touch this shit physically for it to open up. Like that's the next level.
they-
Like the
They
eye
do have
scan,
some
eye
like
shit.
biometrics. Yeah, they do got some that are like a fingerprint and stuff like that. Those are expensive though.
I know, yeah. I would say that would be crazy just to get your own fingerprint scanner attached to your computer, like
for your email.
you're like email only. That'd be clown. Just be like, yeah, I just want my email to be stupid secure. But fucking, I think now should we get to a little life affirmation segment? I think I feel like you know what it is though, right? Like, you've heard of the segment a bit so far. You're familiar? Okay, so it is, you know, we go about and say one thing we look at differently in the past month or year or 2 months or whatever the fuck you really want to do as far as the time limit. You know what I'm saying? It could be like last January on a cold night. But I would say that the way I'm going to probably break mine down today is going to be, I mean, shit, I've had a lot of fucking like affirmations recently, so it's kind of hard to think of like some shit specifically. But if I could really go, you know, harness myself to think like what I look at this way and now I look at differently is, I guess, just time in the day. I don't know. I feel like maybe just like time. I look at like while there is literal daylight savings and daylight, you know, like that shit.
Yeah.
I do also feel like there's less time in the day, dead ass. Like I just feel like just the way my life is going, bro, there's just been like not much time to do shit, like to do fucking sleep, to do nothing, bro. And I feel like, I don't know, my life affirmation is to make more time, because I feel like that's my shit. It's like it's tough making time. Like I've made time to do shit before, but it's like I feel like I'm at a point now where I'm like, you can't even make enough time to do everything, and if you do, you might not even be happy with the time you made to do the shit that you made time to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of just like really trying to figure out time inventory, like how to make time worth it in all different ways. You know what I'm saying? Like how to make the most out of time, if you will, but like in all different aspects. Like not necessarily how to make it the most productive, but like also how to make it the most like other shit too. Sometimes I feel like I lock in on one aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Like how to make the time most productive, or how to make the time most, but like on different tips. Like maybe, and then I'll be maybe just like by doing this in this time, and then focusing on this and that time. You know what I mean? But I feel like sometimes the issue is that like trying to balance between, I feel like I shift between those ways, you know what I mean, where I'm like, I should spend time on this, and then it'll give me more time to focus on this, but then, you know, the day only allows for certain time on one part of it. So been trying to work on the balance within that, if you will. I feel like my timing has been a bit all over the place lately. Gotta catch up on my sleep.
Feel it, man. The grind.
I feel that. I feel like that's very relatable. It's always, you know, just trying to make the best of the time. Lately, this is a revelation that I had very, like, earlier today, low-key. But I had someone ask me, like, kind of like on the tip of, like, maturity, like, do I feel like I'm mature enough to handle certain situations? And I responded with, I hope so. And they got really angry at that response. They were hoping for like a flat out yes or no, but then the way I broke it down to them, it was about like, I felt like the more mature answer was I hope so, because as much as I'd like to give like a flat out yes or no, that I feel like I am mature, I am just like, I feel like you don't really know. Maturity is like one of those things where in concept it's like, how do you know when you're mature? Like realistically, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it's a mindset thing, but like the mindset thing only kind of comes like in a sense of like reaffirmation when you're put in a position where you really are put in the test of time of like, this is how you're gonna act, because like everyone can say, this is what I would do in this is what I would do in that, this is what I would do in this, but realistically, like, unless you're in that position and you have to make an actual fucking decision right then and there, like, then you don't really know what it's like to be in that position. Like, so it's hard for me to like definitively say like, yes, I know that this is how I would act like this, but like all I can say is I hope so. Like, I hope that everything that I've learned up until this point can guide me in a positive direction forward. But in reality, I don't know for sure that that's like, that yes, that's gonna happen, because like I don't, like, people change their like mindset towards things every day. So like all I can do is hope for the best. I can hope that I have like, that I've learned the most up until now, and that I can keep moving forward. And like that was that. So it was just kind of like, for me, is like reflecting on the sense of maturity and like what it even entails to be that. And for me, I felt like it was being able to get to a point where you can assess the situation and make your own decision on it. Because like, who are we to say, like, you know, people say like, oh, certain kids are like the maturity is like sometimes confounded with like a thing of like age, right? But then you see people like that are like really young, that are put in these positions where they're living lives that are way more quote unquote mature than like what some people who are 2 to 3, 4 times their age like that are living. And so like that concept of maturity, I don't think
that's an interesting way you describe something right there, where I haven't questioned it myself. I want to know more about from you, is living mature versus being mature. Like, what do you draw the line in that? Is that where you're putting the value in? Because to me, I don't know how I feel about that. Where I'm trying to say that I feel like I don't know if I put extra value on living mature versus whatever people personally deem as like being mature. You get what I'm saying? Because I feel like you can experience a lot of mature things and live a much more mature lifestyle than someone else, but I don't necessarily think that makes you more mature than another person. You get what I'm saying?
I think maturity lies in mentality.
Yeah, you get that. That's what I was wondering how you feel about. Because I would think that I've seen that hella, where, you know what I'm saying, someone could be living a much more mature lifestyle than someone else and be like super young, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like I don't know if that necessarily makes them more mature because of it being such a mindset thing, a mentality thing. You know what I mean? Not based on just the life and experiences you're living thing.
I could definitely see that, and it's definitely like a mix of both, because I feel like people that are put in positions where they have to live life quote unquote a little bit more maturely, living it, are in forced turn to think in a different light, because
experiences for sure build you. I feel like to be more mature.
Not to say that those people are without a doubt like considered more mature than others, and this is really where it comes down to like the idea of maturity. Like, what even is maturity? Like, what is like a certain point of like when people determine themselves to be mature? And like for me, what I've come to realize, at least for myself, is I really think it is just like a sense of mentality of like when you feel maybe it's just a sense of confidence, but that's hard, because like I don't know, confidence can be found at any point, but like I said, it's like I'm saying more of like a confidence in like thought process towards like the world you live in, and being able to be like, all right, I can handle the situation, I just got to be in the situation. I don't know, it's hard. It's a difficult one, because I'm still not 100% sure on it. What are your thoughts on maturity?
I don't know, like I think there's definitely a thing about like maturity and your experiences when you're young, like what shapes you. Like, we've all gone through hard things that have made us like see the world in more realistic ways, you know what I mean? So like, is that person more mature than like the person who's like, who never went through those things but is like responsible and knows how to have like a wild time, you know what I mean? Like, who's more mature? I don't know. I don't know. I can talk more.
That's a good question. I feel like it's a good question to ponder on. You know what I'm saying?
We'll leave that one to the viewers. Let us know. But what is maturity?
I don't know. I feel like I feel like it's just one of those. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's not meant to be answered in some sense. I feel like it's meant to be defined the way, and personally the way in which we do define it, which is kind of like, I feel like that, you know what I'm saying? Because the way in which we do define it, like, while it can be subjective, you know what I'm saying? And that's how you say, like, while it can be, like how you say, that's the word, biased, like, in a sense, like, you know what I'm saying? You could just say, like, yo, you know, like, I'm mature enough in certain shit you could ignore where areas you're being immature in, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like there's a certain sense of, how do I say, like a mentality which relates to people's realness to consequences, if you will, like to accepting consequences and the things that come with it, because there's good and bad that comes with life, right? Like, and those are principles that we kind of like assess, you know what I mean? There's shit that comes with, and I feel like maturity in its base sense tends to do with that, because that's like the little given in life, right? Like that there's gonna be good parts, there's gonna be bad parts, but like maturity to me is like your ability in how you deal with them, kind of like how you deal with the given good or bad parts, and more so how you start to lean more towards dealing with them as building you. You get what I'm saying? Like, I've always kind of damn near directly related that to maturity, mainly because those parts are damn near mainly related to life, and maturity being mainly related to one of the bigger tools to help you maneuver life. You know what I'm saying? Or manner struggles within life, like the good and bad, and that whole like this too shall pass. You know what I'm saying? Like that being such one of the bigger ladders people have to climb in life, and maturity being one of the biggest tools people describe as your ability to climb that ladder. I've always somewhat related it to that this too shall pass shit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I completely agree, bro. Like my affirmation was going to be like letting go of ego and like the self, and like a part of that is like understanding that like when things are happening to me, Tobenna, like there is like the being at the moment who's experiencing these shits, right? Like I don't have to be enthralled in like what made that moment, but I can at the same time like realize like what does the being Tobenna need to do at this moment. You know what I mean?
Like maybe getting more out of body with it.
Yeah, like removing the personalization to everything that happens to you. Like I don't know if you ever had one of those days where like you wake up and you get ready for school or work or whatever, and like just like little shit keeps going wrong. Like you stub your toe, you drop your phone, you leave your keys in the house
every other day, bro. For me,
but like. And then like at a certain point it can like happen on that perfect day where a bunch of shit already happened in that week, where you feel like fuck this shit, man, like why is this happening to me? But then at the same time you could easily be like, what constructs, what operations, like what situations, interactions led this person who was you, just, you know, out of body, like led this person to this position, you know what I mean? And just like being able to take that in, like same thing with like what Mauricio said about like maturity. Like, how do you know until you're in that position? Like, so to even question it, I would say is even kind of immature, because like you're pondering like a hypothetical. Like until until that being is there, like meaning you is in that situation, then you can tell you how to best maneuver that situation. You know what I mean? Like, to try and project yourself into like that situation is just a lot of ego, I feel like. And I feel like it's like a lot of things in life. Like, a lot of people...
Yeah, to even define like a certain sense of what that is like almost trying too hard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a part of most of the greatest shit is not knowing, and that might be one of the parts like what you're getting at, where it's like
I hope
I hope that I get to that level of maturity, but it's like it's the climb to get there is
to
what
yes
it's
or no right
about.
now is like
that's defeating the purpose. You know what I mean? Because it's
Exactly.
not about that. It's like about getting to that climb and like getting there and shit. And like it's about continuing on that pursuit. Like, you know what I mean? If you kind of pinpointed it on where it was, the pursuit wouldn't be that much worth it.
Yeah. No, dude, 100%. Like, and the thing about that with like, anyway, we don't have to get into that. I just like I've been questioning.
But yeah, what was yours though? I feel like you kind of touched on yours, but I feel like I don't know if you clearly, you know, your life affirmation.
Okay, yeah. So like over the past 2 years, I've been like trying to follow the Dharma more, which is like it literally means the teaching, but in like a more Buddhist sense, like follow the teachings of the Dharma, and like one of them is like a non-self, like being able to like observe without putting ego on top of things, you know what I mean? And like it sounds really easy, like oh, I detach my mind from my body, and like I'll try and put myself in their shoes and not personalize the experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, like, you start to quickly realize, like, so many things in your life are fueled by ego, and like, it starts to make you question, like, wait, is this my ego? Whose other ego has influenced my ego to want to do this shit? You know what I mean? Like,
I feel that.
and then it's like, it's just like,
In some sense, I feel like what you're mentioning is can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, but I feel like some people could even interpret it as like trying to be I would say, like, in my sense, like being more godlike. That's what I like to call it.
Be
like,
more Buddha-like, be more God-like, yeah.
That I've even there are times where I've had like kind of like struggles in my life. I feel like that's something that's got me through like certain points in times, like where I really was like kind of like that Superman shit where you were talking about, where you felt like you kind of overly had different shit on your plate. I feel like that was always my strength within those moments, is kind of to be like more like that. Like, what would like I would look at it like be like more God, like what would Jesus do on some Nip shit, low key. Like Nipsey was somebody who really talked about that, and it was almost like I felt that certain particular level up in moments of just being like, that's how you level up in life, like being more like you just are that ever-present being. Like the more closer you get to that is like the closer you get to just being that one in your life, like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and that shit just starts to really happen for you. Like there was moments where shit that was on my plate that I didn't think I was gonna like get over, and it was just like, nah, that's the way to get over it. Like be more like mindful of everything that you doing to better yourself, and that's what I take as being more like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, 100%. I read this book. It's called The Hand, the Pocket. Yup. This thing right here, bro. He literally is he's like, people are chasing heaven and chasing all this shit, but like they don't. If they pause and realize like they're making hell out of heaven at the moment, then they could like take a second to step into heaven right that moment. Like it's not like a big transition. Like it's not like a huge thing to find peace. Like you just gotta like find acceptance in what is, and then like agree upon like this is, and like what now? You know what I mean? Like does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like being able to like accept what is, and then like move on accordingly, you know?
Nah, yeah, like that's the type of shit I really describe as that, like being like that godliness that's next to cleanliness, where it's like that different shit of being like kind of like just above shit, but not in a negative way. Like basically saying where it's like certain getting to that level of consciousness, or trying to push yourself to be as close to that level of consciousness to where some shit, like it's hard for some shit to phase you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's honestly like, it sounds like sometimes you be like, but then the closer you get to that, the better you see in life. Like, it's just like, and it helps remember those in the toughest moments. It be the toughest of moments. So you remember that shit, you be like, damn, like that's why, like, you gotta be more, you gotta take this shit more like it's meant to build you.
Yeah, bro. All right. A real quick example, like my final year of football at USD, I was like doing bad in CS and bad in football, because like I was just being split in two ways, right? And I'm moving around pissed off at the world, bro. I'm failing tests. I'm not playing in games. I'm barely playing like 2 plays a game. You know, I'm just angry, right? And I'm just like, everything's against me. And I just like I somehow made the whole world like pointed at myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like the moment I like not in that moment, but like it took me like another year to realize, like, damn, like if I had just like depersonalized that, like, okay, this football athlete who's a computer science student is going through a lot of shit, and like they've just been like this is just what is, like, no one is attacking you, no one is like fucking with you, like life is just hard at the moment, and you gotta accept and move on with it. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that would have saved me so much turmoil and like anger at people and at the world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just knowing like it's not necessarily about me. So if some shit is bad happening to me, like I need to figure out how to take care of it, but also like understand like I'm just another person. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just not always about the ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. It's really about being that, you know, being in touch with that higher power, like the shit that's within ourselves, though, because it's like that shit that was in ourselves really show you, you know, that you can move mountains and shit like that. Like, it should be crazy.
Yeah, having an endless well within yourself, like a well, like a ravine that's always being self-replenished and not needing to go like connect to anything else, because like you can see in yourself like the beauty and the pain and all that shit that's all around everywhere else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's just about getting closer to that shit and like cultivating that shit every day, bro. Really, you just be like, one day you just really just see like, damn, like I'm moving right. You're like, I'm fucking move, like I'm doing a lot of shit like the right way, and it's like shit is responding like because I'm limiting all other negative outside influence. You know what I'm saying? I'm making sure at least whatever time I have, it's to be on this tip, like
100%, 100%. It's like literal like vibration wave theory. Like sounds are vibrations. Like everything is like oscillating and moving at a frequency. So like if you literally start moving at a frequency, like I'm getting this rap shit done. I'm moving to the fucking studio. I'm rapping at this. Like you're literally outputting a frequency. It's interacting with other things. Like why would it not move in your direction when things move in every other a direction? You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's about just getting closer to that, and you start to see your ability to flow within it. You know what I'm saying? Like you get closer to moving like that, and you're like, damn, I just wasn't doing this. Like I just wasn't doing, like, you know what I'm saying? Just like I talk about like in certain times when I got into working out and exercising and shit like that, and making music, and I had that creative open flow. But it was like the way you living, bro. Like the way you living just start changing everything.
Facts. No, 100%, man.
But yeah, man, shit, it's good to have you and shit, man.
This was a great ass talk, man. Thank you for joining us.
Man.
This is a great ass fucking conversation, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me on. I appreciate you, Mauricio. I appreciate you, Wes. I definitely want to chop it up again in person next time for sure.
Yeah, we'll get a part 2 in person for sure. We also got the part 2 of Jericho in person coming too. The homie's gonna come back to the States.
That's fire.
So I feel like it's gonna be fire. A lot of these part 2s in persons are gonna be crazy.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Fucking, so let the people know where they can find, you know, your businesses or anything you want to shout out before you go.
Yo, I ain't got no website for Lazy Fruit, so you can hit me up on LinkedIn, like real shit. Like you just put the link there for LinkedIn. What else? I got an app out called craftedpour.com. It's a website where you can like make cocktails, find cocktails. You can make money off it if you like to make recipes for cocktails. It's available at craftedpour.com. And anything else I want to promote? I'm working at a company right now called Float Me. They do financial help for people who need the financial help. If you got bad credit, if you need to learn about how to use money, download the app. It's free.
Fuck yeah.
That's sick. That's sick.
All right, well.
Thank you again for joining us, man.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming and chat with us, bro, and I hope you fucking have your businesses continue to take off and have much success, man.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, man, thank you, man. And we got to collab. We got to make some AR.
Yes, definitely got to drop some AR shit. I think at least one thing you can definitely see in the works with the most will be a video of some sorts, and then we're going to pile on into bigger shit like the so don't steal this idea. It's copyrighted right now, motherfucker.
I'm 100% I'm 100% bleeping this shit. There's no way I'm leaving this in.
But no, wait, we're not gonna leave the other part of it though. We talked about it.
No, I'm not. That's bleep too. There's no way.
None of it when we talked about it at all though.
No. You said protect the IP.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
I'm down, but damn, we're not gonna. So, nigga, we should just stop talking about it then, though. If I was, nah. See, that's what I like, nigga. I'm like, fuck the flow of the conversation, nigga. If we wasn't for the included, we should just stop then. Like I didn't know that. Like the whole reason why I thought we went on talking about explaining it was because we was gonna keep it. If not, nigga, I wouldn't even explain the shit out of it. I would have been like, should hit me with the. I would have been like, all right, I'm good. Like,
no, I just made a mental note. Like instantly, I was like, oh no, this is getting cut.
Yeah, but 100%. I get that. But I'm saying next time, I'd rather just be like, hit me with the. While we doing it, no.
Gotcha. And I feel like if this was like a live thing, I would have 100% hit you with
now
something.
We gotta bleep it now, and I'm like, well, it's like I'm like, fuck. Now we got a bleep right there. Now we got a bleep right here. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could have just bleeped myself, my nigga.
I could have been on mute.
Yeah, like
that's funny.
Oh my god, bro. Yeah, man. It's getting late out here, bro. I gotta eat.
Yeah, same, bro.
We'll let you get to it,
Yeah,
man.
I think I might have missed the stew shit. It's all good.
Thank you
Alright,
again
bro.
for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and peace out.
Support the Vine Tree.
Vine Tree Radio.
Woke up in the morning early trying to get it done. Spitting bars, making eggs, give me some. Ha, I got the sauce, ready and willing to drip it on you for a cost. But don't dare try to take that alligator off of my plate, there's no Lacoste. It's gonna cost ya, cause I got out of sauce, bruh. You ain't really trying to play games, I ain't really trying to say names, but they trying to get on my lane. Told them stop playing with the main lane. I'm the mainframe, obey shit. I got cocaine, they with the propane, they tryna dope main shit. I told her don't main shit. I don't play none. Hey, stop, front. You ain't something to these sumptions. Don't make assumptions about my game. We get jumping, start crumping. This the old school. I've never been for the moment they wanna go to. They told me that I only spit old school rap, so I told them I'ma take it back to the boom bap, switch it on them, and then I flip it on them. Cause I got 100 flows, I can give it to them if they want it for the cheap, but I'm double charging for the free. If that makes sense, G. But I ain't playing with you, nothing is simple. Man, it's all in my mental. I just take a breath, and I start to pencil out the stencil of my brain, tracing it out up on the mainframe. I download it to you niggas. You can stream it too. Ooh, but I ain't really wanna fool you. I ain't really wanna care. I ain't really wanna shit a bitch and wanna man. I ain't really wanna say I'm fucking with a gas. I ain't really wanna sit a bitch and wanna man. She ain't wanna play with the fucking with the gas. I ain't wanna make to the man for the road. They ain't wanna play with the game for the goals. I ain't wanna make for the day with the no. No, please, OC with the gold seed. Everything turned dark purple when they hurt me. But the game seemed Percy. She ain't wanna play with her name like Percy. First scene cut. I ain't really tryna dream of what. They ain't really tryna dream of what. I told them give it up. I told them break it down. I told them smoke it up. I told them roll it down. I told them shut the fuck up. We done turned shit down. I done burnt it down. I done smoked it now. They done fade with the gang. I don't walk around. Quiet down for a second. They got too wild. They been trying to get invested. They been trying to get invested, but I already put all my investments in the efforts. Betting for the catches when I lose up on the benches. Betting for goodness seconds, they bitches they wanna wreck it. Back it, I gotta lick it. They wanna get in the wreckage. Back it, they wanna check it. I'm stuck up in the wreckage. I just fell and I'm dead. Back up in a second, cause they working with my head. Just a 3-minute song, 3-minute jam, but I'm back up on the floor and I'm ready to kill a man.
Vine Tree Radio.
Hey, take a sip then spit. Take a sip then spit. I got a lot. Hey, she said, hey, take a sip then spit. I got a lot of shit to say. I'm on my lottery today. They tryna get me out the way. They tryna get me out the way. They tryna phase me out today. They tryna break my soul. They tryna break my brain. They tryna break my whole mainframe. Hey, yo, ooh. Your whole mainframe crashing my main lane. Your whole mainframe is crashing. I'm trying to maintain this. My whole mainframe is crashing. The mainframe is crashing. Ain't saying the cashing. Ain't paying with the cashing. I ain't playing with nothing. I got a lot on my subject. They tryna rob my cushions. I better rob the subject. Hey, robbing and sucking. They tryna rob the cutlass. I got a lot with the subject. They tryna lie with the roughin'. Not tryna play with it. Nothing. They wanna rob with the cussin'. I got a lot for the cussin'. They wanna play with the cushion. I got cushion on the dozen. Fuck the sip of the suckin'. They wanna play with the cushion. I got the rip for the cushion. I'm really, when the minute is on, I got a lot for the song. Hold on, I got a little too hyped and I feel like I'm not thinking of what I'm saying. Huh? You're like a Jamaican person. Hey, Jamaican and bacon. Break some, bake some for the take 'em, bake 'em, with a gonna make 'em, bake 'em, with a bake 'em, with a bagel, the make 'em, the run a kettle, break 'em, with a case on, bake 'em, with a case on, make 'em, with a case on, break 'em, with a case on, big on, big tune, big toy, big goon. Bro, I got a lot of the boys that wanna smoke on the Costa. Got a lot with the Costa. They been talking to the party, to the lot with the Costa. I been fuck with the Rasta. They been talk with the Costa. I been smoking on the gas for a lot of the chocolate. They been trying to get proper. I don't wanna get opposite. Touch that with the mocha pota. See me 4-5 pota with the other pota. On my nigga, touch up in the current pota. We been playing for show. We been told them but don't. Rotate, and I want that pota. In the condemn, modern up with the contact pota. In the smoker contact, with the posta contact. With the unnamed one nigga in the pota contact. Make that with a kid down, but the kid down, but the say down. See the baby down with the kid down, but the kid down with the baby down. Oh, this is there. You should have never said that. Oh, I never said that, boy.
Mind Tree Radio.